अहिले त्यहाँ चाहिँ डाक्टर सन्तोष विक्रम भण्डारी चाहिँ मेडिकल डाइरेक्टर हुनुहुन्छ र डाक्टर रोजिना शिल्पकार चाहिँ उहाँको टिममा काम गर्नुहुन्छ। उहाँले चाहिँ आफ्नो अनुभव बताउनुहुनेछ। धन्यवाद।
नमस्कार सबैजना, आदरणीय प्रोफेसर, डाक्टर र सम्पूर्ण सहभागीहरू, विशेष नमस्कार आदरणीय हरिवंश आचार्यज्यूलाई। म चाहिँ सुषमा कोइराला मेमोरियल हस्पिटलमा हामीले यो कोरोनाको बेला कोभिड-19 को बेला सुषमा कोइरालामा के कस्तो तयारी गर्यौं र कसरी हामीले बर्न पेशेन्ट्सलाई रिसिभ गर्यौं, कसरी हामीले बर्न पेशेन्ट्सलाई ट्रिट गर्यौं भन्ने कुराको बारेमा अलिकति हाम्रो एक्सपिरियन्स तपाईहरु समक्ष शेयर गर्न गइरहेको छु। यहाँहरु धेरैजनालाई त थाहै छ सुषमा कोइराला मेमोरियल हस्पिटल यो करिब 22 वर्ष अगाडि स्थापना भएको थियो। बर्न यो जलनको विषयमा जलनको बिरामीहरूको उपचार गराउनको लागि र प्लास्टिक सर्जरी सम्बन्धी बिरामीहरूको उपचार गर्नको लागि एस्टाब्लिश भएको हस्पिटल हो र यो साँखु स्थित सलम्बुटारमा छ। यहाँ चाहिँ अब हामी सबैलाई थाहै भयो जस्तो यो अब कोरोना सुरु हुने बित्तिकै हाम्रो छिमेकी राष्ट्रमै सीमित रहन्जेल अब यो फैलिन त फैलिन्छ। अब यत्रो ग्लोबलाइजेसनको एजमा यो फैलिन्छ र यो फैलिएपछि हामीले कसरी म्यानेज गर्नुपर्छ र के गर्ने हामीले भन्ने कुरामा सबैले विचार गरिसकेका थियौं र हाम्रो हस्पिटलमा चाहिँ प्लास्टिक सर्जरी र मेनली बर्न हस्पिटल आउने भएकोले यो अब एकदम च्यालेन्जिङ सिचुएसन हुन सक्छ भनेर हामीले फेब्रुअरीदेखि नै यस बारेमा ज्ञान लिन पढ्न तयारी गर्न सुरु गर्यौं। यो चाहिँ त्यही फेब्रुअरीमा हामीले यो स्वयंसेविकाहरू फिमेल कम्युनिटी हेल्थ भलन्टियर हेल्थ वर्कर्सलाई हामीले बर्नको बारेमा एउटा प्रेजेन्टेसन राखेको थियौं। बर्नको बारेमा ज्ञान दिन, बर्न आएमा कसरी रिसिभ गर्ने, कसरी रिफर गर्ने, कसरी ट्रिट गर्ने, त्यही नै गर्न सक्ने भने र त्यही बेला नै हामीले यो नोभल कोरोना भाइरस जब कोभिड-19 भनेर पनि नाम पाइसकेका थिएन त्यो बेलादेखि नै हामीले उहाँहरूलाई पनि यो कोरोना भनेको यस्तो भाइरस हो, कहाँबाट सुरुवात भयो र यो हामी कहाँ पनि आइपुग्न सक्छ, त्यसैले हामीले सावधानी गर्नुपर्छ र सावधानी गर्दा के कस्तो गर्ने भनेर हामीले एउटा सानो क्लास उहाँहरूको पनि लिएका थियौं। हामीले प्रिपरेसन स्टार्ट गर्दा चाहिँ अब सुषमा कोइरालामा हामी सबैजना मेडिकल र नन मेडिकल एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिभ सब स्टाफ गरेर हामी जम्मा 55 जना स्टाफहरू छौं र अब कोरोना हाम्रो कोरोनाले संक्रमित बिरामी आइपुगेको खण्डमा हामीले के कसरी ह्यान्डल गर्ने, अब कसले कसरी गर्ने, को डाक्टर भएर काम गर्ने, अब डाक्टरहरूले के कस्तो काम गर्नु पर्ला, इभन अब नर्सेसहरूले मात्र गरेर नभ्याउने भएपछि हामी सबै स्टाफ डाक्टर, नर्सेस अनि इभन ल्याब टेक्निशियन, एक्सरेमा बस्ने टेक्निशियन हामी सबैले बेसिक नर्सिङ ट्रेनिङ लिएका थियौं। अब हामीले आइभी लाइन खोल्न जान्नुपर्छ कि, ड्रिप क्याल्कुलेट गरेर ड्रिप चलाउन जान्नुपर्छ कि, त्यो हामीले सुरुमै त्यो ट्रेनिङ लियौं र हामीले मेन्टली प्रिपेयर्ड भयो कि डाक्टर भएर म होइन, म डाक्टर हो, म सर्जरी मात्र गर्छु भनेर होइन कि त्यहाँ अब 8 देखि 9 घण्टा 10 घण्टा खटेर पेशेन्टको अब युरिन आउटपुट क्याल्कुलेट गरेर आइभी लाइन खोलेर ड्रिप क्याल्कुलेट गरेर पनि गर्नुपर्ने हुनसक्छ भने मेन्टली प्रिपेयर्ड भयौं। र सेकेन्ड चाहिँ हामीले सबभन्दा जरुरी के सोच्यौं भने आफू पनि सुरक्षित हुनु पर्यो र आफूबाट अरूमा पनि संक्रमित हुनु भयो भनेर हामीले तुरुन्तै पर्सनल प्रोटेक्सन इक्विपमेन्ट्सहरू अब कसैको भर नपरिकन सरकारले दिन्छ कि कहाँबाट डोनेसन आउँछ कि त्यो भर नपरिकन त्यसको चाहिँ हामीले तयारी गर्न थाल्यौं। र अब हामीलाई थाहा छ कि साँखुमा अब शंकरापुरमै अब बर्नको लागि र यो प्लास्टिक सर्जरीको लागि बिरामीहरू आयो भने त्यहाँबाट तुरुन्तै छेउछाउमा पठाउने अर्को अस्पताल छैन र केही गरी पोजिटिभ पेशेन्ट कोरोना पोजिटिभ पेशेन्टै आइपुगे पनि हामीले बर्न पेशेन्टलाई त्यहाँबाट अरू कुनै अब विशेष यो कोरोनालाई छुट्याएको होइन कोभिड हस्पिटल भनेर छुट्याएको ठाउँमा त्यहाँ बर्न ट्रिटमेन्टलाई मात्र पठाउन सम्भव छैन र हाम्रो काठमाडौँमा देशमा त्यति क्षमता पनि छैन, सायद हामीले नै ट्रिटमेन्ट गर्नुपर्छ होला भनेर हामीले अब भन्छन् अब होप फर द बेस्ट टु प्रिपेयर फर द वर्स्ट भने जस्तै गरेर हामीले प्रिपेयर गर्न थाल्यौँ र त्यो सानो फ्यामिली भए पनि अब एउटा बिरामी आए पनि हामी सबैजना क्वारेन्टाइनमा होला र हामी सबैजना अब त्यहाँ एक्सपोज होला भनेर अघि डाक्टर अपार लामिछानेले भन्नुभएको जस्तै हामीले पनि आफ्नो टिमलाई 2टा ग्रुपमा स्प्लिट गर्यौँ र एक हप्ता एउटा ग्रुप आउने अर्को हप्ता अर्को ग्रुप आउने गरेर डक्टर्सदेखि लिएर क्लिनर्ससम्म र अब बर्न पेसेन्ट रिसिभ गर्दा चाहिँ हामीले कस्तो गर्यौँ भने यो बेला हामीले थाहा पायौँ अब हामीले रियलाइज गर्यौँ कि डोमेस्टिक एक्सिडेन्ट्सले गरेर धेरै बच्चाहरू बर्न इन्जुरी लिएर आयो र फोन पनि आउँथ्यो कोही चाहिँ डाइरेक्ट अब गेटैमा आइपुग्थ्यो त्यस बेला फोनमै आउँदा हामीले फोनमै छोटो हिस्ट्री लियौँ ट्राभल हिस्ट्री एक्सपोजर हिस्ट्री फिभर थियो कि थिएन अरू रेस्पिरेटरी सिम्पटम्स थियो कि थिएन अथवा अरू ट्राभल हिस्ट्री भएकोहरूसँग एक्सपोज भएको छ कि त्यस्तो सबै हामीले हिस्ट्री लिन्थ्यौँ र इभन त्यहाँ हेल्प बाहिरै आइसकेपछि हामीले बाहिरै हेल्प डेस्क भनेर राखेका थियौँ र स्वास्थ्य मा चाहिँ त्यो ग्लास शिल्ड पनि छ त्यहाँबाट पनि अर्को फेरि डिटेल हिस्ट्री लिएर हामीले बल्ल पेसेन्ट रिसिभ गर्थ्यौँ र पेसेन्टको हिस्ट्री छ भने बाहिरै त्योभन्दा अलिकति नजिक फिभर क्लिनिक भनेर छुट्याएको थियौँ त्यो फिभर मिलाइराखेर ट्राभल हिस्ट्री पोजिटिभ पेसेन्ट फ्यामिली मेम्बर्सहरू एपिडेमिक बाट आएको छ र फिभर छ रेस्पिरेटरी सिम्टम्स छ भने हामीले एटलिस्ट आरडिटी नै सुरुमै गऱ्यौँ र आरडिटी नेगेटिभ छ भने त्यसपछि नर्मल गर्ने र आरडिटी पोजिटिभ छ वा अलिक कन्फ्युजन छ भने चाहिँ हामीले पिसिआर पठाउने गऱ्यौँ र हामीलाई चाहिँ सजिलो के भयो भने शङ्करापुर नगरपालिकामा आरडिटी गर्ने र पिसिआर गर्ने सेन्टर चाहिँ हाम्रै हस्पिटल भएको हुनाले हामीले चाहिँ त्यो चाहिँ तुरुन्तै केही अब समस्या बिना गराउन सक्ने भयौँ यो चाहिँ फिभर क्लिनिक हामीले त्यहाँ बेड एउटा हेल्थ वर्कर अनि अब सामान्य आइभी लाइन दिनलाई सानो ड्रेसिङ गर्नलाई सबै तयार गरेको थियौँ र यो सबै हामीले टेस्ट गरुन्जेल अथवा हिस्ट्री एन्स्योर पनि बर्न पेसेन्ट आएको छ भने त्यो बर्न पेसेन्टको सिभिरिटी अनुसार बिरामीको चाहिँ उपचार तुरुन्त सुरु होस् भनेर चाहिँ हामीले त्यही नै सुरु गर्छौँ अनि जस्तै मैले मेन्सन गरेँ कि हाम्रोमै आरडिटी र पिसिआर गर्ने सेन्टर बनाएको थियो शङ्करापुर महानगरपालिकाको लागि त्यसैले हामीले यो टेस्ट गर्ने बुथ पनि हामीका इन्स्टल गऱ्यौँ यो फ्यु पिक्चर्स हो यो चाहिँ यो लकडाउनभरि आएको बिरामीहरूको धेरै जसो बच्चाहरू नै आएको थिए र धेरै जसो स्क्याल बर्न इन्जुरी आएको थियो एउटा फ्यामिली नै आएको थियो ग्यास एक्सप्लोजन भएर यो सानो मिस्टेक्सहरू अब जस्तै एउटै घरमा एउटै कोठाभित्र बस्नु पर्यो अब बच्चाहरू चकचक गर्ने भयो सबैजनालाई मेन्टली स्ट्रेस हुने भयो त्यस्तो बेला त्यस्तो सानोतिनो एक्सिडेन्ट्सहरू अभोइड गर्न नसकेर आएको बिरामीहरू र हामीले बिरामीलाई बर्न पेसेन्ट्सलाई भर्ना गरेपछि पनि फिभर होस् या नहोस् र अरू एपिडेमिक एरियाबाट आएको होस् या नहोस् बाहिर हामीले गर्नुपर्ने गाइडलाइन सबै पुरा गरेपछि भित्र पनि जसले जुनै पनि हेल्थ वर्करले ह्यान्डल गरिरहेको छ बिरामीलाई सबैजनाले यो पर्सनल प्रोटेक्सन गियर लाएरै गरेको छ त्यसमा मास्क सिल्ड ग्लोभ्स गाउन्स लाएर र हामीले ट्रेनिङको बेला यो डनिङ एन्ड डफिङ अफ पिपी पनि सिकेको थियौँ र डनिङको लागि एउटा सेपरेट रुम डफिङको लागि एउटा सेपरेट रुम सेपरेट रिक्वायर्ड डस्टबिन अथवा कसरी त्यसलाई डिस्पोज गर्ने अथवा रियुजेबल कुरालाई कसरी धुनलाई लाने कसरी अटोक्लेभ गर्ने त्यो सबै ट्रेनिङ लिएर त्यो क्लिनर्सहरूलाई पनि ट्रेनिङ दिएर त्यो सबैलाई चाहिँ छुट्टै ठाउँ बनाएको थियौँ र पेसेन्टलाई हामीले नर्मल प्रोसिजरले एडमिट गरेपछि पनि सकेसम्म बिरामीहरूलाई एउटा आइसोलेट गरेर एउटा रुममै राख्यौँ हामीले एन्स्योर नभएसम्म अथवा केही फ्यु डेजसम्म कुनै सिम्टम्सहरू डेभलप होला भनेर फिभर मोनिटर गर्नलाई अरू कुनै अब डाइरिया भमिटिङ जस्तो अरू कुराहरू अब त्यो बेला सजेस्टेड अरू सिम्टम्सहरू जे थियो तिनीहरू सबै मोनिटर गर्न हामीले सेपरेट नै राखेका थियौँ र अर्को अब फ्यामिली बिरामीलाई मात्र नभइकन फ्यामिली मेम्बर्स जो चाहिँ त्यहाँ बिरामीको कुरुवा भएर उहाँहरूलाई पनि सकेसम्म एकजनै बसिदिनु होला, धेरै भिजिटर्स नबोलाउनु। अब इनफ्याक्ट धेरै भिजिटर्स नबोलाउनु नि त्यो बेला हामीले भिजिटर्सै बन्द गरिदियौँ। र अब केही कारणवश बाहिर ब्लड लिन जानु पर्यो, हामी कहाँ ब्लड ब्याङ्क पनि छ, तर अब कोही को नपाउनु र अथवा ती म्यानेज गर्न नसकेको खण्डमा ब्लड लिन जान उता काठमाडौँ जानु पर्यो। त्यस्तो बेला चाहिँ स्पेसल टिकट दिएर नाम लेखाएर यही व्यक्ति बाहिर गएको थियो र यही व्यक्ति यति घन्टाभित्र अथवा यति मिनटभित्र आएको थियो भनेर त्यो सबै राख्यौँ। र बर्न पेसेन्ट्सको र अरू ट्रमा पेसेन्ट्स, अल्सर पेसेन्ट्सहरू सबैको ड्रेसिङ गर्दै नर्सले चाहिँ अथवा इच डक्टरले गर्नु पर्दाखेरि पर्सनल प्रोटेक्टिभ इक्विपमेन्ट को प्रयोग गरेको थियो। र हामीले चाहिँ हरेक व्यक्तिले, हरेक स्टाफले दिनमा 2 चोटि फेर्न मिल्ने गरी पर्सनल प्रोटेक्टिभ एरिया, पर्सनल प्रोटेक्टिभ इक्विपमेन्ट्सको चाहिँ हामीले व्यवस्था गरेको थियौँ। यो पनि हाम्रो यही बिचमा अब कति पेसेन्ट्सहरूसँग एक्सपोज भयो र हामीले आफ्नै पेसेन्टहरूको पनि, आफ्नै स्टाफहरूको पनि 2 चोटि हामीले कोभिड टेस्ट गऱ्यौँ। एकचोटि आरडिटी गऱ्यौँ, एकचोटि पिसिआर गऱ्यौँ, जसमा चाहिँ हामी सबैजना नेगेटिभ आयौँ। र हरेक पटक हामीले एकदमै शङ्करापुरमा पनि तपाईँहरूले न्युज भएको थियो होला कि त्यहाँ स्वास्थ्य कर्मीहरू आरडिटी पोजिटिभ आएको थियो। त्यो बेला चाहिँ एकदम उच्च जोखिम भएको जस्तो लागेर हामीले हरेक दिन नै यसरी होल हस्पिटललाई डिसइन्फेक्ट गर्थ्यौँ। ओटी युज गर्दा ओटी डिसइन्फेक्ट गर्थ्यौँ। र हामीले अब एकैचोटि आइपुग्यो भने हामीमा धेरै गर्ने क्षमता नहोला, हाहाकार मचिनुभन्दा प्रिभेन्सन नै सबैभन्दा राम्रो हो भनेर धेरै हामीले प्रिभेन्सनमै। हस्, धेरै धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद डाक्टर साहब। अब हाम्रो हामीसँग एकजना अर्को प्रेरणादायी वक्ता आउनुभएको छ। उहाँको नाम चाहिँ लायन प्रभात कुमार जोशी। उहाँ चाहिँ पास्ट डिस्ट्रिक्ट गभर्नर 325B2बाट हुनुहुन्छ। लायन्स क्लब चाहिँ हामी सबैले थाहा पाएकै हो, समाजसेवामा धेरै अगाडिदेखि नेपालमा सबै ठाउँमा सक्रिय देखिन्छ र हामीले पनि धेरै ठाउँमा उहाँहरूसँग काम गर्ने मौका पाएका छौँ। र कीर्तिपुर अस्पतालमा जुन नेपाल स्किन ब्याङ्क बनेको छ त्यसमा पनि लायनको ठुलो हात छ। म त्यसको लागि उहाँहरूलाई धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु। र यसको साथसाथै भविष्यमा पनि नेपाल बर्न फाउन्डेसनको मार्फत उहाँहरूको यो जलनसँग सम्बन्धित बिरामीहरूको उपचारको लागि धेरै सक्रियताको आवश्यक छ। किन भन्दाखेरि पोलिएर आउने बिरामीहरू धेरै जसो गरिब निमुखाहरू हुन्छन्। उनीहरूको स्वर चाहिँ माथि पोलिसी लेभल बनाउने लेभलसम्म पनि पुर्याउन सकेका छैनौँ। त्यो अवस्थामा तपाईहरु जस्तो सामाजिक संस्थाका अभियन्ताहरूको एकदमै ठुलो रोल हुन्छ र तपाईहरुको जुन डेडिकेसन छ, हामीसँग अहिलेसम्म काम गरेको तरिकाबाट जुन तपाईहरुले चेन्ज ल्याउनु भएको छ, जस्तो कि आई केयरमा तपाईहरुले त्यसमा धेरै ठुलो चेन्ज ल्याउनु भयो। त्यसै गरेर बर्न केयरमा पनि तपाईहरुको सक्रियता हामीले हेर्न चाहेका छौँ र तपाईको प्रेरणादायी मन्तव्यको लागि म आमन्त्रण गर्दछु। धन्यवाद।
हेलो, सुन्नुभएको छ?
सुनेछ हजुर, सुनेछ।
ल, कार्यक्रमको व्यवस्थापनमा खट्ने साथीहरूलाई सबभन्दा पहिला म हार्दिक धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु। र मैले डाक्टर शङ्कर राईलाई पनि देखाएको छु, हरिवंशजीको र दुईजना डाक्टर साहबहरूको पनि प्रेरणादायी कुराहरू सुने। र अहिले मेरो पालो आएको छ र म मेरो अनुभूतिका केही कुराहरू यहाँहरूसँग सेयर गर्न चाहिरहेको छु। सबभन्दा पहिला मलाई तपाईँले एउटा लाइनको नाताले परिचय गराउनु भयो र सामाजिक रूपान्तरणमा लाइन्सले खेलेको भूमिकाको बारेमा जुन प्रशंसा गरिदिनु भयो त्यसले मेरो साथी असाध्यै ठुलो भएको छ। र एउटा समाजसेवाको क्षेत्रमा लाग्ने मान्छेलाई समाजसेवामा लाग्दाखेरि पाउने पारितोषिक भनेकै त्यही प्रशंसा मात्रै हो, अरू त आत्मसन्तुष्टि मात्रै हो। त्यसैले तपाईँहरूलाई म धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु। अर्को कुरो, म वास्तवमा लाइन्स भएको नाताले नै यो बर्न फाउन्डेसनसँग सम्बन्धित हुन सकेको हुँ। मेरो क्लबमा एकजना साथी हुनुहुन्थ्यो, हेमन्त जोशी। उहाँ पहिला लियो क्लबमा हुनुहुन्थ्यो, पछि लाइन्स क्लबमा आउनुभयो, मेरो क्लबको अध्यक्ष भइसक्नु भयो, धेरै माथिल्लो पद नै पुगिसक्नु भएको छ अहिले। अब उहाँको कारणले गर्दाखेरि डाक्टर शङ्कर राईसँग सम्पर्कको सूत्र बन्यो र फेक नेपालसँग समन्वय गरेर नारायणगढ लायन्स क्लब र नारायण लायन्स क्लबले प्रत्येक हप्ता यहाँ पुरानो मेडिकल कलेजमा प्लास्टिक सर्जरी सम्बन्धी काम पनि गर्यो। खोडे बालबच्चाहरूको तिरफारको काम पनि गरिएको छ, अहिले पनि चलि नै रहेछ। त्यो काममा सहयोग गर्न पाउँदा हामीलाई खुसी लाग्छ। र पछि बन्ड फाउन्डेसन गठन हुने भएपछि संस्थापकको नाताले तपाईँ सदस्य बनिदिनु पर्नुभयो। हाम्रो बुढाबुढी नै समाजसेवामा सम्मिलित भएको नाताले हामी बन्ड फाउन्डेसनको संस्थापक सदस्य भयौँ। र यसले गर्ने प्राविधिक पक्षका कुराहरू अलिअलि सुने। त्यसमा हामीलाई त्यति ज्ञान त छैन, तर एउटा काम के गर्न सकिन्छ भनेदेखि मेरो अनुभवले भनेको लाइन्समा लागेर आँखाको क्षेत्रमा वास्तवमा लाइन्सले जुन फड्को मारेको छ त्यस्तै फड्को मार्ने काम आँखा बैङ्कमा जस्तै गरेर आला बैङ्कमा पनि हामी लाइन्सहरू गर्न सक्छौँ। यसको देशभित्र मात्रै नभइकन देश बाहिर पनि एउटा राम्रो सञ्जाल छ, शक्तिशाली सञ्जाल छ र त्यसमा असल मान्छेहरू धेरै हुनुहुन्छ। उहाँहरूको सहयोग र उहाँहरूको सद्भावले हाम्रो यो आला बैङ्कको क्षेत्रमा नेपालमा धेरै काम गर्न सकिन्छ। मैले बन्ड फाउन्डेसनको अस्ति सम्मानित विधान पनि यसो अध्ययन गर्ने मौका पाएँ। उपाध्यक्ष गैरीजीसँग पनि केही कुराहरू भए। त्यसमा पनि थपघट गर्नुपर्ने कुराहरू, स्थान दिनुपर्ने कुराहरू धेरै छन्। त्यो हामी सहकार्य गर्दै मिलाउँला। तर मलाई सबभन्दा ठुलो अहिले इच्छा के छ भनेदेखि चितवन जिल्लामा बन्ड फाउन्डेसनको एउटा शाखा खोलौँ। हामीले 30-34 वर्ष अगाडि चितवनमा नेत्रज्योति सङ्घ खोल्दाखेरि भरतपुर अस्पताल जसलाई अहिले केन्द्रीय अस्पताल भयो, त्यहाँ एउटा डाक्टर महिनामा एक दिन आँखाको डाक्टर ल्याएर चितवनवासीलाई सेवा दिउँ भन्दाखेरि पनि नसकेको अवस्था थियो। त्यस्तै बेलाबाट सुरु गरेर आज आँखाको ट्रान्सप्लान्ट हुनेसम्म भइसक्यो भरतपुर आँखा अस्पताल भनेदेखि अब स्किनको क्षेत्रमा ढिलो भइसक्यो। मेडिकल सिटीको रूपमा चितवन विकसित भइरहेको अवस्थामा स्किन ब्याङ्क ल्याउन सकिन्छ। त्यसको लागि 1-2 वर्ष हामीले पूर्व तयारी गर्नुपर्छ। त्यो पूर्व तयारीको लागि यो बन्ड फाउन्डेसनको एउटा शाखा चितवन हुनु जरुरी छ। त्यसको लागि तपाईँहरूलाई चाहिने जनशक्ति, प्राविधिक जनशक्ति तपाईँहरूलाई तयार गर्नुहोस्। अरू सामाजिक अभियन्ताहरू कति चाहिन्छन्, कस्ता चाहिन्छन्, हामी तयार गरेर यहाँका सबै 100वटा भन्दा बढी लाइन्सहरू छन्, अरू सङ्घ संस्थाहरू छन्, त्यो सबैको समन्वय गरेर हामी तपाईँलाई सहयोग गर्न तयार छौँ। हाम्रो यहाँ कस्ता पनि मान्छेहरू छन् भने यो आँखा बैङ्कको लागि यहाँ 1.5 करोड रुपियाँ एकजना दाताले दिनुभयो। अब ओपिडी सञ्चालन गर्ने ठाउँ साँगुरो भएर 50 र आधा करोड रुपियाँ दिएर ओपिडी भवन बनाइदिने मान्छेहरू पायौँ हामीले। त्यस्तै आँखाको इन्स्टिच्युट बनाउनको लागि 2 करोड दान दिनुभयो। त्यसरी इन्स्टिच्युट बनाउने मान्छे पनि पायौँ हामीले। लाइन्सबाट हामीले त इन्टरनेसनलबाट 10औं कोइन्सहरू ल्याइसकेका छौँ। त्यस्तै गरेर यहाँको व्यक्तिगत मन भएको व्यक्तिहरूबाट, धन भएको र मन भएको व्यक्तिहरूबाट र अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय सङ्घ संस्था इभेन्ट लाइन्सबाट पनि हामीहरू त्यो बैङ्कको लागि धेरै काम गर्न सक्छौँ। त्यो गर्ने ठाउँ दिनको लागि तपाईँहरूलाई मेरो के अनुरोध छ भनेदेखि सम्बन्धित साथीहरूले पहिला चितवनमा एउटा शाखा खोलिदिनुहोस्। अनि ती शाखाले गर्ने काम कर्तव्यको बारेमा विधानमा केही उल्लेख गरौँ। त्यो अनुसार हामी बढ्यौँ भनेदेखि हामी 1-1.5 वर्ष होमवर्क गऱ्यौँ भनेदेखि हामी आफै चितवन शाखाले नै जग्गाहरू खोजेर हामी त्यसमा आँखा बैङ्क सुरु गर्न, प्रारम्भिक काम सुरु गर्न सक्छौँ। र प्राविधिक जिम्मा चाहिँ केन्द्रले लिइदिनुपर्छ। हामीसँग प्राविधिक ज्ञान छैनन्, हामी तपाईँहरूलाई सहयोग गर्ने मात्रै हो अरू दृष्टिकोणले। र त्यसमा म बढी फोकस दिनु हुन तपाईँहरूलाई अनुरोध गर्न चाहन्छु। र मलाई यसमा किन प्रेरणा लाग्यो यो बैङ्कमा भनेदेखि मेरो एकजना साथी हुनुहुन्थ्यो लक्ष्मी भक्त बागलेजी, अहिले बितेर जानुभयो। हामी क्लासमेट हो। उहाँको देब्रे हात पोलेर सानोदेखि नै मुठी परेको थियो, चौरी परेको हुन्थ्यो। र उहाँ पहिला औषधि गर्नु भन्दा साधन सुविधा यहाँ थिएन। पछि 7 जना दाजुभाइ अरू के परिस्थिति पर्यो थाहा भएन। पछि उहाँ आफै सक्षम हुनुभयो, भनी हुनुभयो बेसरी अपरेसन गरौँ भन्दाखेरि पनि अब बुढेसकालमा के गर्ने भन्नुभयो। अहिले भित्र गइसक्नुभयो। र उहाँले चाहिँ जहिले पनि खल्तीमा हात राखेर लुकाएर हिँड्नुहुन्थ्यो। उहाँ त्यति सम्पन्न भइसकेको, समाजमा रेपुटेड भइसक्नु भएर पनि त्यसरी लुकाएर हीनता बोध लिएर हिँड्नु पर्थ्यो कि। अब हामीले त्यो साधन जुटाइदिन सक्यौँ भनेदेखि कमसेकम हिँडापोते लघुता भाषले मान्छेहरू हिँड्नु पर्दैनन्। उनको सामाजिक क्षेत्रमा पनि भविष्य उज्यालो हुन्छ, छाती टाउको शिर ठाडो गरेर हिँड्न सक्छन्। त्यसैले उनीहरूको मनोबल बढाउन पनि हामीले यो क्षेत्रमा काम गर्नुपर्छ र हाम्रो उत्कट हामी लाइन्सहरूलाई चाहिँ यो क्षेत्रमा लाग्ने उत्कट अभिलाषा छ। त्यसको लागि पृष्ठभूमि तयार गरिदिनु भयो भनेदेखि हामी आभारी हुन्छौँ। र मलाई यसमा बढी प्रेरणा दिने मेरो भाइ हेमन्त जोशी हुनुहुन्छ, जसलाई हामी श्यामल भनेर चिन्छौँ। उहाँले पनि जुन बेलामा पनि घर आउँदाखेरि, चितवन आउँदाखेरि एउटा न एउटा कार्यक्रम लिएर आउनुहुन्छ। हामी नारायणगढ लाइन्स क्लबले मात्रै क्लबहरूमा उहाँले यो वनको एवारनेसको कार्यक्रम सञ्चालन गर्नुहुन्छ। 2 दिन आउँदाखेरि पनि कैयौँ टोल सुधार समितिमा कार्यक्रम राखेका छौँ हामी लाइन्सहरूले। र कति महिला समूहहरूको बिचमा पनि यो चेतनाको कार्यक्रमहरू फैलाएका छौँ हामीले। र कति स्कुलहरूमा कलेजहरू कार्यक्रमहरू सञ्चालन गरेका छौँ हामीले। 1 घन्टा 1.5 घन्टा 1.5 घन्टा एक दिनमा 3 ठाउँमा 4 ठाउँमा गरे पनि। यसरी लाग्ने जनशक्ति तपाईँ हामीसँग छ भने ती जनशक्ति उहाँ जस्तै अरू पनि तयार गर्न सकिन्छ। त्यसमा पनि हामी संस्थाहरू मिलेर सहयोग गर्न सक्छौँ। यो कुरो अगाडि बढाएर अब आँखा बैंकलाई एक ठाउँमा मात्रै नभइकन, छाला बैंकलाई एक ठाउँमा मात्रै नभइकन धेरै ठाउँमा फैलाउन तपाईँ हामीले प्रयास गरौँ। हामी सफल हुन्छौँ भन्ने मलाई विश्वास छ। हस् त, अहिले धन्यवाद, नमस्कार सर।
धन्यवाद सर। तपाईले भन्नुभएको हेमन्त जोशीज्यू चाहिँ हाम्रो नेपाल हाम्रो बर्न फाउन्डेसनको कोषाध्यक्ष हुनुहुन्छ र धेरै सक्रिय हुनुहुन्छ। अरू साथीहरू जस्तै उहाँ पनि एकदम सक्रिय भएर लाग्नु भएको छ र तपाईँको एकदमै प्रेरणादायी वक्तव्य सुनेर हामी धेरै उत्साहित भएका छौँ। र चितवनमा मात्रै होइन, हामी चाहिँ नेपालभरि नै यो नेपाल बर्न फाउन्डेसनलाई विस्तार गर्ने पक्षमा छौँ र मेरो विचारमा विधानमा पनि त्यो छ, हामीले राखेका छौँ। किन भन्दाखेरि यो बर्नको घटनाहरू काठमाडौँ र चितवनमा मात्रै होइन, नेपालभरि नै भइरहेको छ र त्यहाँ चाहिँ बिरामीहरूलाई सहजीकरण गर्नलाई, सचेतना फैलाउनलाई र ठाउँमा पुर्याउनलाई अब हामीले चाहिँ त्यो लोकल स्थानीय तहमै काम गर्न सक्यो भने अलि सजिलो हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ। तपाईँको वक्तव्यको लागि म धेरै धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु। अब हामीसँग नेसनल ट्रमा सेन्टरका नर्सिङ प्रशासक, नर्सिङ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर सूचना सापकोटा म्याडम हुनुहुन्छ। उहाँले चाहिँ वीर अस्पताल नेसनल ट्रमा सेन्टरमा यो कोभिडको बेलामा अब नर्सिङ एस्पेक्टबाट के समस्याहरू उहाँले भोगिराख्नु भएको अलिकति हामीलाई सेयर गर्नुहुन्छ। हुनुहुन्छ हजुर सूचना म्याडम? यदि उहाँ हुनुहुन्न भने मैले गङ्गा जिरेल दुवैजनालाई मैले यहाँ देखेको छु। देख्न चाहिँ गङ्गा जिरेल चाहिँ पाल्पा तानसेनको मिसन हस्पिटलको नर्सिङ सुपरिन्टेन्डेन्ट हुनुहुन्छ। उहाँ चाहिँ तयार हुनुहुन्छ नि, उहाँ आउनुभए पनि हुन्छ। उहाँहरू हुनुहुन्न?
उहाँहरू हुनुहुन्छ। उहाँहरूको आफैले अनम्युट गर्नुपर्ने भएकोले त्यहाँ समय लागेको हो कि। सूचना सिस्टर पनि हुनुहुन्छ, गङ्गा जिरेल सिस्टर पनि हुनुहुन्छ।
मैले हेरिरहेको छु।
सूचना सिस्टर आफैले अनम्युट गर्नुभयो हुन्छ, तपाईँलाई को होस्ट बनाइसकेका छौँ।
नमस्कार, म गङ्गा जिरेल।
हजुर सुरु गर्नुहोस्।
सुन्नुभयो सर?
हजुर सुरु गरौँ।
धन्यवाद यो समयको लागि। कन्फरेन्समा भाग लिनुभएको सबैजना अग्रजहरूलाई, आदरणीय व्यक्तिहरूलाई म नमस्कार गर्न चाहे। म गङ्गा जिरेल तानसेन मिसन अस्पतालबाट। सर्वप्रथम नारा म्यामलाई म धन्यवाद भन्न चाहन्छु। उहाँले मलाई यसमा निम्तो दिनुभयो। हुन त समय छोटो छ अनि यो 5 मिनटमा मलाई केही कुराहरू सेयरिङ गर्नको लागि दिनुभएको छ। मैले यहाँनिर 4वटा बुँदा बनाएर ल्याएको छु, तर त्यो 4वटा बुँदा मध्ये मैले 3वटा बुँदा मात्रै म भन्नको लागि भन्न चाहन्छु। एउटा कुरा चाहिँ के हो त भन्दाखेरि कोभिड-19 रोगको रोकथाम अनि उपचार गर्नको लागि तानसेन युनाइटेड मिसन अस्पताल तानसेनले केही तयारी गरेको हो। अनि यसमा मैले 2टा भाग छुट्याएको थिएँ प्रिपरेसनको लागि चाहिँ, एउटा रोकथामको लागि अनि एउटा सेवाको लागि भनेर। अनि रोकथामको बारेमा म अहिले भन्न चाहेन, त्यसै कारण मैले नम्बर 1 लाई स्किप गरेँ। अब यसको रोकथामको बारेमा चाहिँ WHO बाट अनि सरकारबाट धेरै कुराहरू हामीले सुनिराखेका छौँ। त्यसै कारण दोस्रो मुद्दाबाट म जान लागेँ। यहाँ चाहिँ कोभिड-19 को बिरामीहरूलाई हामीले सेवा दिनको लागि हामीले के तयारी गर्यौँ त भन्ने कुरा म तपाईहरुलाई बताउन चाहन्छु। हामी फागुनको अन्तिमतिर नै हामीहरूले यो कुरा सुरु गर्यौँ। अनि विशेष गरी फागुनको अन्तिमतिर चाहिँ हामीहरूको PPEहरू डिस्पोजेबल PPEहरू नभएको कारण हामीले चाहिँ होममेड हाम्रो हस्पिटलमै हामीले यो तयार गर्न सुरु गर्यौँ। र कतिवटा सेटहरू हामीले तयार गर्यौँ, जसमा चाहिँ मास्क, गाउन, क्याप, भाइजर अनि प्लास्टिक एप्रोन अनि सु कभरहरू जस्तै। अनि त्यो पछि दोस्रो नम्बरमा हामीले के गर्यौँ त भने स्टाफहरूलाई ट्रेनिङ चाहिँ 2टा कुराको लागि थियो। एउटा चाहिँ स्टाफहरूको मानसिक मोटिभेसनको लागि ट्रेनिङ गर्यौँ। अनि जसमा चाहिँ अब सबैजना मानिसहरू, अब सबैजना स्टाफ नै भए पनि, मेडिकल पर्सन, नर्सिङहरू नै भए पनि धेरै डराएको कारण उहाँहरूको मानसिक रूपमा इमोसनल अनि साइकोलोजिकल सपोर्टको लागि हामीले कोभिडको बारेमा सबै व्यक्तिहरूलाई, कोही डक्टरहरूबाट, कोही पास्टरल केयर स्टाफबाट, हाम्रो नर्सिङ एजुकेटर, नर्सिङ एडभाइजरबाट क्लासहरू दिएर हामीले तयारी गर्यौँ। भने अर्को चाहिँ यो PPE पर्सनल प्रोटेक्टिभ इक्विपमेन्ट अथवा सुरक्षा कवच, यो चाहिँ कसरी हामी लगाउने अनि कसरी यसलाई खोल्ने, अघि नै डाक्टरले भन्नु सक्नुभयो डुनिङ एन्ड डफिङको बारेमा। विशेष गरी सबै फ्रन्ट लाइनमा जाने स्टाफहरूको लागि हामीले ट्रेनिङ दियौँ, जसमा डक्टर्सहरू, नर्सेसहरू, हाउसकिपिङ स्टाफ, पारामेडिकल, ल्याब अनि सेक्युरिटी स्टाफहरू सबैजना जो फ्रन्ट लाइनमा कोभिडको बिरामीलाई केयर गर्नको लागि आवश्यक व्यक्तित्व हुनुहुन्छ, उहाँहरूको लागि सबैजनालाई नै हामीले तालिम दिएर तयारी गरायौँ। अनि हाम्रो आफ्नै हस्पिटलमा 3वटा कोठामा 6वटा बेडको आइसोलेसन रुम तयार गर्यौँ। र त्यो पछाडि फेरि पनि 18वटा बेडको यो आइसोलेसन वार्ड, जुन चाहिँ हस्पिटलदेखि टाढामा नगरपालिका, तानसेन नगरपालिका र युनाइटेड मिसन 2टा मिलेर आइसोलेसन तयार गर्यौँ। अनि आइसोलेसन वार्डको लागि हामीले चाहिँ आफ्नै प्रकारको हाम्रो हस्पिटलमा सुहाउँदो प्रोटोकल हामी तयार गर्यौँ। अनि अहिले चाहिँ पछिबाट हामीले PPEहरू प्रशस्त व्यवस्थापन गरिसकेका छौँ। यो भयो सेवा दिनको लागि तयारी गरेको कुरा। अनि हामीले बिरामीलाई कतिजनालाई सेवा दियौँ त भन्ने कुराहरू चाहिँ मैले तपाईलाई भन्न चाहेँ। हाम्रोमा अहिले वैशाखको 3 गतेदेखि अहिलेसम्म चाहिँ हामीसँग 5 जना सस्पेक्टेड केसहरू एडमिसन हुनुभयो। तर उहाँहरू चाहिँ बर्न केस होइन, 2 जना मेटर्निटी सम्बन्धी थियो भने अर्को 3 जना चाहिँ मेडिकल डिजिज सम्बन्धी लिएर आउनुभयो। अनि ती मध्ये 1 जना चाहिँ एक्सपायर हुनुभयो। अनि उहाँको PCR रिपोर्ट चाहिँ पोजिटिभ आयो, जसको कारण हाम्रो स्टाफहरू पनि आइसोलेसनमा बसिराख्नु भएको छ। उहाँहरूको PCR टेस्ट पठाएका छौँ, तर रिपोर्ट आइपुगेको छैन। अनि अर्को कुरा चाहिँ फेरि हामीले यो 5 जना, मैले अघि नै भनिहालेँ, 18 बेडको हस्पिटलदेखि अलिकति टाढामा 18वटा बेडको आइसोलेसन रुम तयार गरेको ठाउँमा हामीहरूसँग 5 जना दाजुभाइहरू हुनुहुन्छ। उहाँहरू सबैजना मेलहरू हुनुहुन्छ। उहाँहरू 2 जना आज 14 दिन पुग्नुभयो, 2 जना भोलि 14 दिन पुग्नुहुन्छ, अनि 1 जना भोलि 14 दिन पुग्नुहुन्छ र 2 जना चाहिँ पछि 14 दिन पुग्नुहुन्छ। अनि उहाँहरूको पनि हिजो मात्रै PCR कलेक्सन भइसकेको छ, तर उहाँहरू सबैजना ठिकठाक हुनुहुन्छ। उहाँहरूको सिम्पटम्सहरू केही देखिएको छैन, त्यसै कारण हामी चाहिँ खुसी छौँ। अनि अहिलेसम्म यसरी सेवा दिँदै गर्दाखेरि हामीले फिभर क्लिनिक चाहिँ सुरुदेखि नै अब गभर्मेन्टले भन्नुभए अनुसार, गभर्मेन्टको यो हाम्रो स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयको निर्देशन अनुसार हामीले फिभर क्लिनिक चाहिँ छुट्टै चलाइसकेका थियौँ। अनि यो फिभर क्लिनिकमा जम्मी 117 जना बिरामीहरूलाई चाहिँ फिभर क्लिनिकमा हामीले सेवा दिन सक्यौँ, जसमध्ये 1 जना चाहिँ पोजिटिभ थियो। उहाँ मैले अघि नै भनिसकेँ, उहाँ चाहिँ बित्नुभयो। अब यसरी सेवा गर्दै गर्दा छोटो अवधिमा हामीले यो बिरामीहरूको सेवा गर्दै गर्दाखेरि पाएको हामीले थाहा गरेको चुनौती भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ एउटा कुरा चाहिँ अब सस्पेक्टेड बिरामीहरू आइसकेपछि अब पोजिटिभ नेगेटिभ थाहा नआइसकेपछि यो गाह्रो कुरा भयो, हाम्रो लागि एउटा चुनौतीको कुरा भयो भन्ने। अर्को कुरा, हाम्रो हस्पिटलको संरचना अलिकति साँघुरो भएको कारण, छुट्टै बिल्डिङहरू नभएको कारण यो पनि हाम्रो लागि चुनौती भएको छ। अनि अर्को कुरा चाहिँ अब डेड बडी ह्यान्डलिङ व्यवस्थापन गर्नको लागि चाहिँ साह्रो ढिलो हुने रहेछ कोभिड केसमा। अनि यो पनि हाम्रो लागि चुनौती मैले महसुस गरेको। अर्को कुरा चाहिँ धेरैजना स्टाफहरू, 1 जना पोजिटिभ तर अब एकचोटिमा 10 जना 12 जना 15 जना यस्तो स्टाफहरू चाहिँ एक्सपोजर हुनुपर्ने। अनि यो पनि एउटा चुनौतीको कुरा भयो। अनि अर्को कुरा भनेको धेरैजना अब पिसिआर त कलेक्सन गर्नुहुन्छ, तर पिसिआर कलेक्सन गरेको रिपोर्टहरू चाहिँ ठिक समयमा आइ नदिनु। एक त ढिलो हुन्छ, अब यो सिस्टमहरू प्रोसेसहरू लामो भएको कारण यो चाहिँ ठिक समयमा नआइदिनु पनि हाम्रो लागि एउटा चुनौती महसुस गरेको छु। मैले सायद यो हस्पिटलको बारेमा केही पनि भनिनँ, समयलाई ध्यान दिँदै। त्यसै कारण हजुरहरूको केही प्रश्न छ भनेदेखि नरदेवी म्यामसँग पनि सोध्न सक्नुहुन्छ, मसँग पनि सोध्न सक्नुहुन्छ। हामीले अहिलेसम्म बर्न पेसेन्ट मध्ये हामीहरूसँग अहिलेसम्म कोभिडको बिरामी आउनु भएको छैन, तर हामीहरूको अहिले चाहिँ अब सिजन पनि नभएको कारण बर्न केस चाहिँ हाम्रोमा कम्ती पनि छ। हाम्रो मिसन हस्पिटलमा 6 वटा बेड चाहिँ एडल्टको लागि अनि 5 वटा चाहिँ चिल्ड्रेन बेड पनि बर्नको लागि छुट्टाइ नै छ। हुन्छ, यति भन्दै मेरो समयलाई म यहाँ अन्तिम गर्न चाहन्छु। धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद गङ्गा सिस्टर। हामीसँग टाइम एकदमै हामी पार गरिसक्यौँ। अब हाम्रो सूचना सिस्टर हुनुहुन्छ नर्सिङ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर नेसनल ट्रमा सेन्टरबाट। म उहाँलाई एकदमै छोटो मिठो बताइदिनु हुन अनुरोध गर्दछु, किनभने हाम्रो इन्टरनेसनल गेस्टहरू आइसक्नु देखेको छु मैले। समयको पाबन्दीलाई ध्यान दिनुहुनेछ भन्ने आशा गर्दछु। धन्यवाद।
नमस्कार डाक्टर किरण, नमस्कार। सुनिरहनु भएको छ?
हजुर सुनिरहेको छु। नमस्कार।
नमस्कार। सर्वप्रथम त नेपाल बर्न फाउन्डेसनलाई धेरै धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु। र म छोटोमा प्रेजेन्टेसन गर्न गइरहेको छु। म सूचना सापकोटा हस्पिटल नर्सिङ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर एज अ मेट्रोनको रूपमा चाहिँ विगत 2 वर्षदेखि त्यहाँ कार्यरत छु। र कति कुराहरू त अब डाक्टर अपारले अघि कभर गरिसक्नु भएको छ राष्ट्रिय ट्रमा सेन्टरमा बर्नको म्यानेजमेन्टको बारेमा। र हामी सबैले बुझेकै कुरा हो होइन। अब बर्न यसै पनि बर्नमा इन्फेक्सन हुने, त्यसै गरी कोभिडको महामारीको बेलामा बर्न पेसेन्टलाई म्यानेज गर्नु चाहिँ सिमुल्टेनियसली च्यालेन्जिङ छ। र हाम्रो राष्ट्रिय ट्रमा सेन्टरमा एउटा इमर्जेन्सीमा कसरी म्यानेजमेन्ट गर्ने भन्ने एउटा प्लान छ। यसमा चाहिँ हामीले अघि डाक्टर अपारले नि कभर गर्नुभयो, आइसोलेसनमा इमर्जेन्सीको आइसोलेसन रुममा चाहिँ पेसेन्टलाई रिसिभ गर्छौँ। र त्यहाँ चाहिँ इमर्जेन्सी म्यानेजमेन्ट सँगसँगै चाहिँ कोभिडको जुन WHO र नेपाल सरकार क्राइटेरियालाई चाहिँ स्क्रिनिङ गर्छौँ। र इमर्जेन्सी अपरेसन गर्नुपर्ने छ भने चाहिँ पिसिआर आरडिटी गराउँछौँ भने, होइन भने चाहिँ रुटिनली पिसिआर टेस्टको लागि इमर्जेन्सीबाटै पठाउँछौँ। त्यसपछि पिसिआर नेगेटिभ छ भने चाहिँ हामी चाहिँ वार्डमा एडमिसन गर्छौँ। र पिसिआर पोजिटिभ देखिनुभयो र अथवा हाइली सस्पिसियस हुनुहुन्छ भने चाहिँ हामी नेपाल सरकारको प्रोटोकल अनुसार एचयुसीमा खबर गरेर TUTH पाटन एकाडेमीमा चाहिँ हामी रिफर गर्छौँ। यो चाहिँ इमर्जेन्सीमा छँदाखेरिको म्यानेजमेन्ट प्रोटोकल छ। र बेसिकली अरू कुराहरू त डाक्टर अपारले कभर गरिसक्नु भयो। इन्फेक्सन प्रिभेन्सनको पार्टमा नेसनल ट्रमा सेन्टरमा चाहिँ हामीले 2टा लेभलमा चाहिँ काम गरिरहेका छौँ अहिले, एउटा एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिभ लेभलमा र अर्को वार्ड लेभलमा। एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिभ लेभलमा हामीले एउटा आउटब्रेक म्यानेजमेन्ट कमिटी भनेर कोभिड आउटब्रेक म्यानेजमेन्ट कमिटी गठन गरेका छौँ। र इन्फेक्सन प्रिभेन्सन एन्ड पेसेन्ट सेफ्टी कमिटी भनेको हाम्रो पहिलाको एक्जिस्टिङ कमिटी छ, त्यो पनि एक्टिभेट भएर त्यसमा काम गरिरहेको छ। र त्यसले चाहिँ हामीले बेसिकल्ली प्रोटोकलहरू डेभलप गर्ने र अल हेल्थ वर्कर र इन्क्लुडिङ क्लिनरहरूलाई चाहिँ स्पेसली आइपिसी रिलेटेड टु कोभिडमा फोकस गरेर चाहिँ उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ क्लिनिकल स्किल सिकाएका छौँ र त्यस्तै गरी चाहिँ डनिङ डफिङको तालिम दिएर उहाँहरूलाई रिटर्न डेमोन्स्ट्रेसन नै गराएर हामीले चाहिँ सबै 300 जना हेल्थ वर्करहरूलाई चाहिँ तालिम गरेका थियौँ र एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिभ लेभलबाट हामीले सप्लाईहरूलाई चाहिँ अब चुस्त दुरुस्त गर्नको लागि चाहिँ एकदम पहल गरेका छौँ, त्यो भएको पनि छ। र वार्ड लेभलमा जाँदा चाहिँ हामीले अब सकेसम्म एकदम फिजिबल भएसम्म पिसिआर नेगेटिभ भएपछि बल्ल वार्डमा लान्छौँ, किन भन्दा अब अरू बिरामीहरू पनि कन्टामिनेसनको रिस्क रहने भएकोले गर्दा। र अल पर्सनल अब बिरामीलाई त छँदैछ, भिजिटर र पेसेन्ट पार्टीहरू सबैलाई चाहिँ टेम्परेचर स्क्रिनिङ गर्छौँ र 1 जना मात्र भिजिटर एकम्पनी गर्नलाई दिएका छौँ र हामीले अब त्यहाँ थाहा हुँदैन भिजिटरहरूलाई पनि अब कोभिड हुनसक्छ, उहाँहरू पनि सोर्स अफ क्यारियर हुन सक्नुहुन्छ। त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ स्ट्यान्डर्ड प्रिकसन त अलवेज नै रहन्छ, ट्रिट एभ्री पेसेन्ट एज अ कोभिड पोजिटिभ इभन दो दे आर नेगेटिभ भन्ने हिसाबले हामीले ट्रेन गरेका छौँ र पिपी कन्ट्याक्ट र पिपी चाहिँ फुल पिपी नै युज गर्नुहुन्छ र कन्ट्याक्ट र ड्रपलेट प्रिकसनलाई चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ स्ट्रिक्टली चाहिँ फलो गरेका छौँ। र अलिकति यतिन्जेल हामीले कभर नभएको भन्नाले अलिकति मैले फोकस गर्न चाहेँ डिसइन्फेक्सन सिस्टमलाई चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ स्ट्रिक्टली इम्प्लिमेन्ट गरेका छौँ। जस्तो चाहिँ अब ह्यान्ड हाइजिन त हाम्रो अब स्ट्रिक्टली ह्यान्ड हाइजिन चाहिँ अब जुन 5 मोमेन्ट अफ ह्यान्ड हाइजिन छ डब्लुएचएल दिएको, त्यसलाई चाहिँ कम्प्लाई गरेर त्यसमा हामीले उहाँहरूको चाहिँ कम्प्लायन्स कस्तो छ भनेर एउटा क्लिनिकल अडिट गरेर डाटा कलेक्सन पनि गरेका छौँ। मोरलेस चाहिँ यो कम्प्लायन्स राम्रो छ, मोर देन 90% भेटेका थियौँ हामीले। त्यस्तै वार्ड क्लिनिङ चाहिँ एटलिस्ट 3 टाइम्स भनेका छौँ। यी सिफ्टमा 2 टाइम्सको दरले चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ वार्ड क्लिनिङलाई चाहिँ फोकस गरेका छौँ र क्लिनिङमा चाहिँ युज गर्ने मेजर सोलुसन भनेको अहिले क्लोरिनलाई नै हामीले चाहिँ युज गर्छौँ। क्लोरिन सस्तो पनि हुने, अभाइलेबल पनि हुने र यो चाहिँ अब भाइरसको लागि सरसफाइको लागि डब्लुएचओले पनि यसैलाई नै रिकमेन्ड गरेको हुनाले। त्यस्तै गरी हामीले चाहिँ अब सेन्ट्रल एयर कन्डिसनिङ सिस्टम पनि छ, अब त्यसले चाहिँ नेगेटिभ प्रेसर मेन्टेन नगर्ने हुनाले त्यसलाई चाहिँ हामीले अहिले स्टपै गरेका छौँ। त्यसै गरी अल पिपीहरू चाहिँ अब हामीले कसरी डिसइन्फेक्सन गर्छौँ, कसरी रियुज गर्छौँ भने जुन डिस्पोजेबल पिपीहरू छ त्यसलाई चाहिँ हामी चाहिँ के गर्छौँ भन्दा एउटा थिक रेड बकेटमा राख्छौँ, थिक प्लास्टिकले कभर गरेर त्यसलाई स्प्रे गरेर क्लोरिनले स्प्रे गर्छौँ अनि त्यसपछि लगेर अटोक्लेभमा राखिदिन्छौँ भने चाहिँ जुन रियुजेबल पिपी र अरू आइटमहरू छ जसलाई चाहिँ हामी अब फाल्न सक्दैनौँ, जसलाई रियुज गर्नुपर्ने हामीलाई अब्लिगेसन पनि छ रिसोर्स कन्स्ट्रेन्टको कारणले गर्दा, त्यसलाई चाहिँ 0.5% क्लोरिन सोलुसनमा डुबाउँछौँ र क्लोरिन सोलुसनमा 30 मिनट डुबाएपछि त्यसलाई चाहिँ वार्म वाटरमा चाहिँ डिटर्जेन्ट राखेर चाहिँ अनि वास गरेर अनि सन ड्राई गर्छौँ र क्लोरिन सोलुसनमा डुबाइसकेपछि जसलाई चाहिँ लन्ड्रीमा हाल्नु मिल्छ, लन्ड्री मेसिनमा, त्यसलाई चाहिँ लन्ड्री मेसिनमा पठाउँछौँ र त्यसै गरी आई सिल्ड फेस सिल्डहरूलाई चाहिँ हामीले 30% इथनलले चाहिँ वाइप गरेर अनि त्यसलाई चाहिँ रियुज गर्छौँ। नेक्स्ट अनि त्यसै गरी चाहिँ अब पेसेन्ट म्यानेजमेन्टमा चाहिँ स्पेसल्ली हामीले चाहिँ पेसेन्ट नै अब सोर्स अफ इन्फेक्सन पनि हुन सक्ने, त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ उहाँलाई आउने बित्तिकै चाहिँ इन्फेक्सन प्रिभेन्सनको बारेमा चाहिँ सिस्टरहरूको थ्रुबाट चाहिँ एजुकेसन दिन्छौँ 1 by 1 र एउटा केयर गिभर मात्र राख्छौँ, जसले गर्दा चाहिँ उहाँहरू चाहिँ हाम्रो प्रोसिडरहरू रुटिनहरूसँग र हाम्रो प्रोटोकलसँग टाइअप पनि हुन सक्नुहुन्छ। अनि टेम्परेचर रजिस्ट्रेसन गर्छौँ र त्यसै गरी चाहिँ उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ के छ भन्दा अब यसको पेसेन्ट केयरमा चाहिँ इन्भल्भ हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ अब भाइटल साइनहरू मोनिटर गर्ने र त्यसै चाहिँ के हुन्छ भन्दा अब आउट पेसेन्टलाई नै म्यानेजमेन्ट गर्नुपर्ने हुँदाले स्पेसल्ली अघि डाक्टर अपारले नै इन्क्लुड गर्नुभयो, फोन कलहरूलाई अलिकति बढी इन्टरटेन गरेर हटलाइन भिडियो कन्फरेन्सबाट पनि उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ जुन आउट पेसेन्ट बेसिसमा म्यानेज गर्नुपर्ने पेसेन्टहरूलाई चाहिँ म्यानेज गरिरहेका छौँ। त्यति नै होला। हेलो। र अब स्टाफको कन्सर्नमा हेर्दा अलवेज अब स्टाफ त मेजर च्यालेन्ज पनि त्यही नै हो, एकदम स्कार्स रिसोर्सले चाहिँ हामीले म्यानेज गरिपर्नु भएको छ र यसमा हामी विगत 2 महिनादेखि जुन नेपाल सरकारको प्रोटोकल आउनुभन्दा पहिल्यैबाट हामीले चाहिँ उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ एकदम फ्लेक्सिबल सेड्युलिङ भनेको चाहिँ इसेन्सियल स्टाफलाई मात्रै इन्भल्भ गराएका छौँ र अहिले चाहिँ 1 विक ड्युटी गर्ने 1 विक चाहिँ लिभमा दिने हिसाबले चाहिँ हामीले उहाँहरूलाई गराइरहेका छौँ र त्यस्तै चाहिँ अब उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ अब आवश्यकता अनुसार चाहिँ माथि नै अब कति स्टाफहरू हुनुहुन्छ बालबच्चा भएकोहरू फ्यामिलीलाई एक्सपोज हुन्छ कि भन्ने रिस्क अलवेज रहेको हुनाले चाहिँ उहाँहरूलाई हामीले हस्पिटलमै एउटा फ्लोरमा चाहिँ जहाँनिर टप फ्लोरमा चाहिँ एकोमोडेसनको व्यवस्था पनि गरेका छौँ। त्यहाँ चाहिँ 30 जना स्टाफहरूलाई चाहिँ हामी एडजस्ट गर्न सक्छौँ र त्योभन्दा बढी स्टाफहरूलाई क्वारेन्टाइनमा राख्नुपर्ने भयो भने चाहिँ हामीले एउटा होटल बुकिङ गरेका छौँ र त्यहाँ नै गएर चाहिँ उहाँहरूले रेस्ट गर्नुहुन्छ। अहिले पनि विकली सेड्युलमा उहाँहरू चाहिँ रेसिडेन्समा बसिराख्नु भएकै छ र बेसिकल्ली यिनीहरू चाहिँ स्पेसल्ली कोभिडसँग रिलेटेड गरेर हामीले गरेको माइनर चेन्जेसहरू हो। धन्यवाद।
ल सूचना सिस्टर धन्यवाद छ। हाम्रो सिनियर हाम्रो भाइस प्रेसिडेन्ट हुनुहुन्छ नेपाल वन फाउन्डेसनको, उहाँ पनि नर्सिङ क्षेत्रमा लामो समयदेखि लगभग 4 दशकदेखि काम गरिराख्नु भएको छ। अहिले चाहिँ टिचिङमा हुनुहुन्छ। हाम्रो नरदेवी बरिया सिस्टर हुनुहुन्छ हाम्रो भाइस प्रेसिडेन्ट। उहाँ दुईजना वक्ताको जुन बोल्नुभयो त्यसको बारेमा केही उहाँको धारणा राख्दिन अनुरोध गर्दछु। नरदेवी दिदी हजुर बोल्नुहोस् एकछिन।
धन्यवाद हाम्रो म्याडमहरूलाई। तर उहाँहरूले जुन यो कोभिड-19 को लागि आफ्नो हस्पिटलमा कस्तो व्यवस्थापन गरेको रहेछ भन्ने कुराहरू चाहिँ हामीले यो सुन्न पायौँ। उहाँहरूले चाहिँ एकदमै सिरियसली नै उहाँले लिनु भएको रहेछ र यसले गर्दाखेरि मलाई धेरै खुसी लाग्यो। यो चाहिँ अब हाम्रो टिम वर्क भएर जानुपर्ने, डक्टरको साइडमा डक्टर नर्सेस हामी सबैजना एउटा टिम भएर गयो भने चाहिँ हाम्रो जे काम पनि सफल हुन सक्ने। र डक्टर अपारको पनि उहाँलाई धेरै कुराहरू सुने। अनि डक्टर के अरे हाम्रो नर्सिङ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर सूचना सापकोटा उहाँले पनि भन्नुभएको यो सबै कुराहरू चाहिँ एकदमै मलाई राम्रो लाग्यो। जे सोचेको थिएँ उहाँहरूले चाहिँ कस्तो किसिमको हस्पिटल व्यवस्थापन गरेको छ भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ मलाई छर्लङ्ग भयो। र अर्को चाहिँ हाम्रो नर्सिङ सुपरिन्टेन्डेन्ट गङ्गा जिरेल चाहिँ उहाँले पनि सबै विस्तृत जानकारी गरिदिनु भयो। यसमा चाहिँ धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद उहाँहरूलाई, धेरै खुसी लाग्यो।
धन्यवाद म्यामलाई पनि।
धन्यवाद छ हाम्रो नरदेवी दिदीलाई। म चाहिँ सम्पूर्ण सहभागीहरूलाई एकचोटि अनुरोध गर्न चाहन्छु, तपाईँहरूसँग यो हाम्रो पहिलो र अन्तिम भेट होइन। कतिजना पहिले पनि आइसक्नु भएको छ। अब तपाईँ सबैजनालाई पछि फेरि आउनुहोस् भनेर म निम्तो गर्न चाहन्छु। हामी 2 हप्तामा भेट्छौँ र यसको लागि चाहिँ तपाईँहरूको सम्पर्क हामीसँग हुनु एकदमै जरुरी छ। त्यस कारणले हामीले गुगल डक सेयर गरेका छौँ। त्यसमा हजुरले लिङ्कमा क्लिक गरेर त्यसमा नाम, एड्रेस, फोन नम्बर, इमेल त्यो चाहिँ प्रोभाइड गरिदिनु भयो भने तपाईँहरूलाई चाहिँ हामीले पछि निम्तो गर्ने मात्रै होइन कि यो कोभिड सकेपछि नेपाल वन फाउन्डेसनको एकदम धुवाँदार कार्यकर्ता हामी बनाउन सक्नेछौँ भन्ने आशा गर्न चाहन्छु। अब हामीसँग now we have international speakers. Some of them have arrived, some of them have not. So let me start with Professor Tom Potoker. Let me introduce him briefly. Tom, are you there?
Yep.
Yeah, let me introduce you briefly. Tom Potoker is a professor of global burns injury policy and research at Swansea University, UK. He is honorary consultant burn and plastic surgeon at Wells Center for Burns and Plastic Surgery and the director of Interburns. He led the development of Interburns comprehensive integrated approach to quality improvement and capacity building in burn care and prevention in the lower and middle income countries in Asia and Africa. The Center for Global Burn Injury Policy and Research has recently received an NIHR grant to establish a global health research group on burn trauma. He was awarded an OBE in 2016-17 New Year's Honors list for services to global burn care and prevention. Thank you, Tom. You may start.
Thanks, Kieran. Can I share the screen? Is it ready?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so
I think they have made you the host already.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Kieran. Kieran asked if I could just do a presentation about the work of interburns in Nepal. So I've just put a few slides together to summarize what we've done in the last 7 or 8 years or so. So I guess the first thing is to ask the question, what is the goal? What is the point of this work? And I like to make things as simple as possible. So the work of interburns really is around decreasing the incidence of burn injuries through prevention, etc., and improving the outcomes. So fairly simple goals, really, but like a lot of simple things, very difficult to achieve often. So the approach that we've taken was to, first of all, develop international consensus standards for burn care services, and then follow that with a system of rigorous assessment of services against these standards using a participatory approach, and then developing a suite of comprehensive education and training materials and courses, etc., to support learning. So this is what we've termed a comprehensive integrated approach to capacity building and quality improvement for burn care and prevention. So to take you through that, and Nepal is at the heart of this, because many of the landmark events in the history of interburns have actually taken place in Nepal with colleagues from across the country. So perhaps the first most significant event was in January 2012, when we hosted a meeting in Kathmandu, this consensus meeting to set standards for burn care services. There was 30 participants from Nepal, India, Bangladesh, Canada, South Africa, UK, Egypt, USA, Pakistan, and Nigeria, and representing the members of the multidisciplinary team, so surgery, nursing, critical care, psychology, A&E, education, training, and research. The task for that group was to define operational standards for burn care services in resource poor and fragile environments, and to develop a framework for education and training in burn care. That was achieved with the production of the standards, which can be freely downloadable from our website, and the final report was finished in early 2013. So once we had those standards, which were based on the WHO trauma guidelines, we then of course need to see, well, how can a service identify where it sits against these standards? Because without having something to benchmark, it's difficult to know whether there's been improvement or not. And clearly as well, it's important for services. One of the critical issues is that services often are under-resourced, but it's all fairly non-specific. And so the cry goes out, we don't have enough staff, or we don't have enough materials, we're not doing as good as we could. And what we wanted to do was to try and turn that into something a bit more smart, so a bit more specific and measurable, so that we could actually have facts and figures and be able to demonstrate exactly where the gaps were. So we developed this process looking at evaluating services through a self-evaluation process, looking at capacity, delivery, and outcomes, and then performing gap analysis between the capacity and the delivery and the outcomes. And through that, then developing a tailored program for each service. So this is just, sorry, it's very crowded, this slide, but this just gives you a representation of the service assessment system. So you can see on the left, there's 10 sections, which represent different areas such as surgery, nursing care, policies and procedures, rehabilitation, etc. And then each section has a score of up to 10 maximum points. And within that framework, you see the different colors there. And this is demonstrating the different breakdown within each of those areas. So perhaps more helpful is this slide. So this is the score sheet that comes out after a service.
Tom, let me interrupt you. We are not seeing any slides.
Oh, sorry. I thought you told me that the screen was shared.
No, I told you to share it, but I thought you were going to share it afterwards, but it never happened.
Right.
Yeah, you can
So
share.
how can I share? How can I share the slides? Because without the slides, it's going to be difficult.
There is at the bottom there is share screen button option. You have to click that.
Okay, hang
Then
on a
that
sec.
takes you
Yeah,
to
no,
the
sorry, I thought it already.
computer screen, and then you can.
Yeah, sorry, I thought it had already been done.
Yeah,
Can you see them
now.
now?
Yeah.
Okay,
now go
so
to your slideshow.
okay, great, thanks. What I'll do is I'll just I won't go through them again. I'll just sort of show you them. So that was a standards meeting, just the tasks of that. And then with this is a slide we're on now. So this, as I say, thanks, Kieran. This is the score sheet. So this is what every service gets after it has gone through a self-evaluation. So here are the 10 areas, so policies and procedures, service activities, burn care team, etc., etc. And then gives a score underneath, the total score at the bottom, and then on the right, the text that defines where the gaps are. So if you look, for example, let's take patient support number 8, then it says, you know, the issues are, well, the need to advocate for resourcing for psychosocial care, implement formal protocols for burn nutrition and provide high protein diet, access additional funds for costs of treatment for poor patients, and seek sustainable funding for psychosocial and nutritional support. So that identifies what needs to be done. And then each service works out what they're able to do, what is within their sphere of influence, and then tries to introduce these changes. So then in terms of the education and training portfolio, this is what it consists of. So basic burn care, BBC, and community prevention, and which I'll come on to, essential burn care, advanced burn care, and then these comprehensive training retreats, instructor training, and our training centres. We also have non-clinical training portfolio, and that is based around quality improvement and implementation science, such as this program here, which is for nurses specifically, but we also have a 1-week implementation and improvement science course, which we've run in Swansea and is now going to be available online shortly, which has also had participants from Nepal in. Essential burn care has been around for many years now. This is an example of the manual. So it's a sort of 200-page full color manual, just describing the essentials, everything from first aid through to rehabilitation. This is also now available online as an online learning platform. And I'm pleased to say that recently that has been taken up by, particularly in fact in Nepal, as this news item says, where I think it was 68 staff, medical students undertook this, and I think 40 have so far completed it in May in Nepal, the online one, because it was difficult to do face-to-face teaching with COVID. So in total in Nepal, for essential burn care, there have been 31 courses held, 908 staff trained, and 3 training of trainers. And the vast majority, probably over 90% of those courses have been delivered by entirely by local staff. The advanced burn care programs are 5-day intensive courses that are very hands-on. So this is the advanced burn care nursing program, which ran at Kirtipur Hospital a couple of years ago. I'd say very involved, very hands-on, actually involving dressings and patient interaction as well, and going through case studies, etc. And again, faculty included quite a few nursing staff from Nepal, and of course, the participants were all from Nepal on that occasion. The advanced burn care surgery, again, the first time this was held was in Kathmandu in Kirtipur last year. It's now been held a second time in Ethiopia, where we had faculty from Nepal who came to join us. So this is specifically for surgeons. Again, it's a 5-day intensive hands-on course. You can see here the interaction. It's a very interactive program. And rehabilitation, this currently is only run in Bangladesh, but there was quite a number of therapists from Nepal who went to that. And that again is a 5-day intensive hands-on program for rehabilitation. Then we have our training centres. So the initial one was in Choithram Hospital in Indore. And now I'm pleased to say we have training centres also in Kirtipur, in Sushma Koirala, and also in a hospital in South Africa. And this is for fellows to go through to from whether they're surgical, nursing, therapy, nutritionists, etc. And they come from all over the world to attend these. So what is the impact of all that? Well, if you look at this graph here, this just shows you 7 services, in fact. We worked at 7 services in Nepal and 7 in Bangladesh. And this isn't the result from all of them, but it's from about 8 or 9 of them. And you can see between 2016 to 2019, the graph, the fact that it's going upwards, that's based on the scorecard, so the service evaluation. So service evaluations were done on an annual basis, and year on year, they actually improved, apart from one service that then flattened out, but all the others improved over that 3-year period. And this paper, results of this research will be published in the Burns Journal shortly. It's just been accepted and the proofs have been done. So all the information about what I've just spoken about will be available in an article in Burns shortly. So what about the other end, the community level? So I think Kamal Fuyal will be talking to you about this in more detail and in Nepalese at some point, but I just briefly give you an overview. So having started off at the hospital level, we then moved on to the community level, working with partnership with Sagun, a local organisation in Nepal. First of all, doing a survey to look at actually what the situation was, and that was published in BMJ Open this year. A participatory community survey of burn cases and knowledge, attitudes and practices to burn care and prevention in 3 rural municipalities. And then we followed that up by developing a participatory burn prevention project, again, delivered mostly by Sagun. And you can see on the right there, the team members who are involved in this work. So part of that has been around a basic burn care training package, which is for primary healthcare workers, but also community-based burn care and prevention through female health volunteer workers. So far 55 have been trained in basic burn care, and in the community burn care and prevention, 115 trained. There's also this Jalan, the community burn bulletin. So there's lots of activities that Kamal at some point will go into in a lot more detail, but one of them is production of this community burn bulletin, which has been very successful, and it's now on its 3rd issue. And again, what is the impact? Well, I think this is a very, very important slide. If you look at this, at that graph, the 2014 up into 2018, these were the number of burn injuries requiring hospitalization in the 3 districts that we were working in. And then the participatory prevention work started at the end of 2018, 2019. And you can see there, since the implementation of those activities, there's been a very dramatic fall. Now, whilst to almost 0. Now, whilst these are small numbers, because they're small regions, clearly the possibilities of this approach is scaled up across the whole country are very, very significant. So in summary, it's around long-term involvement, building a stable foundation, local ownership, getting support from both the government and the community, and addressing all levels, basic, intermediate and advanced, and then having training both at the hospital but also at the community level. So that's the approach that Interburns has taken as an organisation. And as I say, just to emphasise that most of this work has been done in Nepal by local staff within Nepal rather than externally.
Thank you, Tom. Now I want to summarize this in Nepali for our Nepalese participants, what you have been doing in Nepal and in other part of the world. Interburns भन्ने एउटा चाहिँ युकेमा भएको संस्था हो। अब हाम्रो जस्तो अविकसित देशहरूमा चाहिँ बर्नको उपचार गर्ने डाक्टरहरू, नर्सेसहरूको ट्रेनिङ चाहिँ एकदमै अभाव छ। त्यो क्षेत्रमा काम गर्ने त्यो क्षेत्रमा काम गर्ने भनौँ न डाक्टरहरू पनि कमी छ, नर्सेसहरूको पनि कमी छ, जति हुनुहुन्छ उहाँहरूको तालिमको पनि अभाव छ। त्यसकारणले गर्दाखेरि उहाँहरूले चाहिँ विभिन्न खालको ट्रेनिङहरू विभिन्न देशहरूमा, अफ्रिका र एसियाको विभिन्न देशहरूमा चाहिँ यसको ट्रेनिङहरू उहाँहरूले करिकुलम बनाएर अनि यहीँको लोकल सर्जनहरूलाई ट्रेन गर्नुहुन्छ, ट्रेनर बनाउनुहुन्छ। पछि चाहिँ त्यही ट्रेनिङ चाहिँ हामीले देशभरि चाहिँ हामीले फैलाउन कोसिस गरिराख्नु भएको छ 2012 देखि। र त्यसको बापत चाहिँ उहाँले भन्नुभयो इन्डियामा चाहिँ इन्दोरमा चाहिँ छोइथराम अस्पतालमा एउटा इन्टरनेसनल ट्रेनिङ सेन्टर भनेर सुरु भएको छ। त्यसै गरी नेपालमा पनि कीर्तिपुर अस्पताल र सुषमा कोइराला मेमोरियल हस्पिटलमा चाहिँ उहाँहरूले इन्टरनेसनल ट्रेनिङ सेन्टर भनेर नेपालको मात्रै होइन विदेशको पनि डाक्टरहरू, नर्सेसहरू, फिजियोथेरापिस्ट, न्युट्रिसनिस्टहरू ल्याएर बेला बेलामा उहाँहरूले ट्रेनिङ कन्डक्ट गर्नुहुन्छ। बेसिकली त्यही हो र थ्याङ्क यू टम फर योर नाइस प्रेजेन्टेसन। नाउ आई वुड लाइक टु इन्भाइट Professor Arun Kumar Chaudhary. Are you there, sir? Professor Chaudhary? I can see you. Professor Chaudhary, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, let me introduce you in brief, okay, Professor? Professor Arun Kumar Chaudhary is the former professor and head of department of a postdoctoral department of burns, plastic surgery of Sri Ramchandra Vanja Medical College, Cuttack, Odisha. He is also the WHO Fellow of Trauma and Burn in Australia and Malaysia. He is past president of National Academy of Burns, India. He was awarded with Mahatma Gandhi Award, and then he is also the executive member of Association of Plastic Surgeons of India, APSI. Thank you. So please proceed.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kiran, and good evening to all the participants of the Burn Foundations of Nepal. Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
So,
please share the screen.
Thank you so much. And this webinar was meant for Corona COVID-19 and how the burn patients have been treated in our place, the Eastern Indian part. And my special thanks to Dr. Shankar Rai. I think today he is not there with us. And I belong to a state in the eastern part of India, that is Orissa. And there is a big link between our Jalan Puri, if you know it, I think, with the families of the King of Nepal and King family of Puri. So today actually I am going to speak about our experience of burn patient care during this COVID period about 2 to 3 months which is going on. I think in Orissa is one of the states in the country we had the lockdown at the earliest, and it was on 21st of March. And now at the present scenario, if you go through the COVID cases, now India with a population of 1.3 billion, we have crossed about 3 lakhs of patients, coming to be positive. And in that, even the recovery rate, which has gone even more than 50% in most of these states. So this is a difficult situation to really predict. And this novel virus corona, I think we must have by this time, everybody knows, even in Nepal, all the technical and also administrative and other staffs. And I think when we were reading NBF, nobody was giving importance to SPA or to microbiologists. Now, this is a scenario when these people become one of our stalwarts in getting us their experience and for which most of the things in our planning and future planning for COVID-19 in the struggle with the frontline warriors, especially doctors, nurses, and others. Well, if I go, because my timing was 10 minutes, so I need to thought of, because a lot of things have been done in last webinar. When regarding the management of burn patient, as you know, everybody knows about, and I have a special interest, not only I have a lot of experience of handling the mass burn casualties. In my state, it is almost, it has happened many a times. And we had a big catastrophe in 97 also, one of the best big in the country also. So there are few observations what I got during this period of COVID, that this is a novel virus we have never had experience, how it will affect, whom it will affect, and what will be the course of the disease process and that affect us as burn care specialists. My center, we have a dedicated burn center, which has about 55 dedicated beds for the burn unit, and also another 20 plus we can have in the general surgery department. And it is well manned by all the cadres of the people, the doctors, nurses, and paramedics, and other staff like operation theatre staff and supporting staff of all departments, all departments. Now, our averagely per year in normal course, we used to have more than about 1,500 cases admitted. And this is the premier hospital of the state of Odisha, where all the patients are burns are not cared for at tertiary care. And we are getting about 5,000 cases. And during this period of COVID, we have a dropout of about 20% of the patients attending our hospital. That is what we have found out with our statistics. So the number of patients as per the mass casualty what I was talking about, we do not have. That is the only thing we have to go during this lockdown and shutdown period, because I think there is no gathering, there is a big social distance. So this thing has completely stopped. We didn't have a much case like this. But what is more interesting is we get a lot of cases of electric burns. And how the factories are closed, how it happens. It happened mostly domestic. So domestic electric burns have increased and chemical burns also. So during the release period of these shutdowns or the lockdowns, the people have a psychological problem of fighting themselves and throwing these chemicals, mostly the acids. That we have got in our record. And for the management of these patients, right from the OPD, then testing and all that testing, then getting into the ward, getting admitted, then having the operation theatre. As per the Lancet, we have not done all regular cases routinely, because Lancet tells if you do routine cases of burns during this COVID period, the percentage of mortality goes very high and morbidity is about 40%. Not only the patient, but also the persons involved like doctors, nurses, and other supporting staff in the operation theatre. So considering these technical factors, we have tried to stop all elective operations. We go by close distance and operations were needed, like tangential excisions we have done with manual home-based knife, as you know. We have stopped using the electrical dermatomes. So that is what we have developed by our experience to use that. And right from the, we have a casualty where the burn patients are directly admitted to the burn wards and the ward dedicated ward. And the ventilating system, I will learn from different experience of different places like Italy or from US, that the air conditioning, normal air conditioning is not good for the spread of the virus load. So we have used the air conditioning, but we have made the exhaust system more potential and more intensive so that we get less infection to this one patient. That we have developed. Even it has been implemented in the All India Institute of Medical Science, Delhi. We have all the patients like the emergency trauma patients and also the burn patients. So this is a new thing we have developed, and negative pressure operation theatres or wards is difficult to get within the short period of our preparation. So the operation theatres, as I have already mentioned, where we have been doing about 100 cases per month, which we have reduced to almost only 20%. So because to prevent such type of morbidity in the burn patients. And the what we have developed also, when the patients are serious patients, about 20% in adults, 10% in children. These are also seen here very limited, about 2% of the total admissions. We had about in 2 months, we had about 180 admissions of burn patients, out of which hardly 2% were children. So the number of pediatric patients are less. And the problem was that to have the taste of all these people, because anybody attending, we have such a big population and thick population for square meters that you cannot test for all these patients with this artificial test, which is supposed to be the most authenticate test to declare somebody as positive. We have a guideline from WHO and All India Institute of Medical Science Delhi and ICL, or Indian Council of Medical Research, how to handle at the OPT, then how in the ward, in the OTs, and post-op wards, all these guidelines in detail. I wanted to present this time, but I thought it will not be proper with the short period of time I have been allotted. I thought I have already had these slides, everything. So maybe in the next we get a chance, I can have all these details, how to treat these patients or manage right from the beginning. But we have devised that we need all the attendants who are very much worried to see their patient condition. We use these mobile phones, smartphones, where video we used to show the patient attendant. Your patient is like this, he is stable, he is walking, talking, and all that. So everything was being shown. So that was one of the innovations we have made, and the patient attendants were at least not making a big rush inside the ward, and also helping us in making the social distance. Second is, we have trained about 600 people of different categories, doctors, nurses, physiotherapists, OT nurses, then outdoor nurses, ICU nurses, and according to their category, in their work, they have been trained, and this has been taken care. Our telemedicine, we are a very robust telemedicine center in the country. Almost it is within the best 5 telemedicine center, where all these doctors, nurses, and other supporting staff were well trained by doctors and well trained by even their own administrators who are given how to handle these patients, because the patient handling and the attendant handling are different. So these communication gaps should not be there to have a problem that we have developed. Not only successfully, we have done that training in our center. What more effective was that, as we know, the WHO and others, that most of the patients in this is not even a community transmission, but most of the patients are not symptomatic. And the symptoms are also changing. Previously, the symptoms were running nose, coryza, and then patient used to have sneezing, breathlessness. All these were there, but it was added with tests. Patient is not able to have the chest in the tongue, now having multiple joint involvements. So all these symptoms are also gradually changing. If I give an example, one of the doctors, not in my state, but in Andhra Pradesh, he was a cardiothoracic surgeon and senior resident. He developed one day only symptoms with all these what I told, and next day he developed ARDS, acute respiratory distress syndrome. As you know, it is one of the complications in the COVID-19 cases. And he went for ventilation, remained in ventilator for 5 days, and he expired. So even doctors, nurses, they have been also victims in many of the places like Maharashtra and Gujarat, in Delhi. These places, I think, these are metro cities that have been also victims of health workers. Even though the government of India and the state governments have declared, if these people succumb, the state or the center will going to compensate with about 50 lakhs of rupees. But I don't think the life of the person is more than the money they get after that death. So these persons have to be very careful using proper PPE. Those proper PPE, as you know, when you use in mass scale for months together, it may not be proper to get adequately. That was the real problem at all levels. But the government was good enough to take care of the health workers, and not only the doctors, nurses, the police who are taking care of the law and order situations. So they are also in Maharashtra. We had catastrophe for the police people. There are 100 above people are affected, and out of that, even 5% people have died. So these are the our experiences during this COVID-19, and I think Nepal is much better off because you had a good foundation of burn care. As I know, Dr. Shankar attended Puri conference, which I conducted during my presidency, and I hope the Nepal Burn Foundation should grow more and do better care to the people of Nepal. And from India, I think I compliment all of you for participating and hearing to my short brief talk on my experience or our experience in our institutions in the state and the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Now we are running a bit late on time, so I would like to invite Dr. Ahmad Nawar, who is the Assistant Professor of Plastic and Burn Surgery from the Cairo University in Egypt. Dr. Nawar, are you there? If you have any questions, please put that in your comment box. We'll try to get answered. And Dr. Nawar, if you are there, otherwise I'll go to.
I'm there, Mr. Dr. Nakarmi. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Please, thank you for.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can.
That's great. Thank you. I'd first like to thank your Burns Association for this invitation. And I've been following up your meetings for the past few weeks, and I think you're doing a marvelous work for your own local community and for the international Burns community as well, especially for countries that have similar hardships and similar challenges. And I'll just start sharing my screen. Right, can anybody see my screen, or
not yet?
The internet connection is it's a little bit small.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay. Is that all right? Right, so I've been asked kindly by Dr. Nakarmi to talk about the challenges and the changes that we have to do in response to the coronavirus pandemic. And just to give a brief introduction about the burn services in Egypt. Right, I'm sorry, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Right, so I'm not sure about the accuracy of the numbers, because we do have a problem of reporting in Egypt, especially in rural areas, but we do have in excess of 100,000 reported cases every year. And most of these cases are scalds, and most of them are in children. And I'm sure lots of other centers share the same demographic. The burn services in Egypt, unfortunately, are underserved and mainly provided by the Ministry of Health, burn units in some of the government hospitals. But a big part of the burden is carried by the university hospitals, which have large burn units to centers, and some charity organizations, and these are also very few. Unfortunately, with acute burns, the private sector doesn't really do or take much of the burden off the public and charity sectors, because burn patients are usually uninsured in Egypt. They're usually poor. Burn service and burns care is quite expensive, and most private hospitals actually do not accept burn cases except under the responsibility of the surgeon himself. And unfortunately, we don't have that network where most of the units are connected together, and any referrals or any communication between the units are usually done on a personal basis. So we don't have a problem with the scars, with the post-burn scars. Lots of the private surgeons would treat these cases, but we do have a problem with the acute burns, especially that we don't have a network, and most units provide very basic care. And if we look at the organization of burn services, at the top of the pyramid, we have burn center, and maybe we have 2 or 3 burn center in the country. Otherwise, it's either a smaller burns unit or a burns facility. And the other problem is lots of doctors aren't very enthusiastic towards burns care. It's not a very profitable subspecialty. It's not heavily funded by the government. And lots of the private sector, as I said, don't support it. So I come from Cairo University, from the Faculty of Medicine at Cairo University. And the Qasr Aini School of Medicine is one of the oldest in the region, started in 1827. And our hospital is in Cairo. And it is a large campus with 19 different hospitals, including 2 specialized children's hospitals, an oncology hospital, OB/GYN hospitals, and other satellites within the same area. So it's a large campus with over 5,000 beds in total. So it's one of the biggest in the region. And in the old campus, we had our old burns unit, and this was a unit that's been over 50 years. A pretty basic unit with 20 patients, males, females, different wards, but children were usually admitted into the females wards. We had a shower and dressing room. We had an OR on the ward, and we didn't have a dedicated burns ICU. And that was a problem because we didn't have access all the time. And for that reason, we started a project in 2017 to develop a burn center. And this is a modern burn center. And the main drive behind it was to create a pediatric ward because most of our patients were pediatrics. So we had a 6-bedded pediatric wards and 6 high dependency and ICU beds. And the adults, again, we had 10 bed spaces for the adults and 4 ICU and 4 HDU spaces. So a total of around 30 patients in total, pediatrics and adults. And we had our own 2 ORs, dressing rooms, therapy rooms. And it was located in one of the newer buildings, which is the new emergency building on the left-hand side. And the main thing that we did was to have isolation cubicles for the patients and to change the concept of dressings from tanks to showers. We also arranged to have 2 ORs, and we tried to stick with all the recommendations from the European Burns Association, the American Burns Association, the BBA, with all the standards, and we supplied most of the equipment. It was 2 years of getting equipment. Lots of it was done with donations and international and national efforts. But we managed to start a very nice modern burns unit that started in 2017. And we had a staged opening. So we started with the wards and then with the OR and then with the ICU and so on. But I'm sure we had similar challenges with burns dressings. So we started getting more modern burn dressings, all the silver stuff. But our main problem was we didn't have allografts. We don't have a skin bank. We tried to start skin banks over the last 30 years. We have lots of logistical issues, lots of political issues. And so that is one of our main problems. And we try to use some of the dermal substitutes, Integra, Palmac, And we've recently started to use vacuum-assisted dressings, the negative pressure dressings, as temporary covers after burns excision, and are publishing that soon. So we seem to have everything going on the right track, and we had some some more funding over the last few months, the end of 2019, and we were very happy until February, when things started to take a different shape. One of the things that we started to do a couple of years ago is the MDT, and that made a huge difference in our practice. So we started with surgeons and intensivists. The surgeons in Egypt, it's mainly burns is under plastic surgery. So mainly plastic surgery staff. Intensivists are nurses, of course, which are the main drive. And very slowly, we kept on adding different subspecialties. And the last person we've added was a microbiologist or an infectious disease specialist, who was really integral in our team, and at the same time became the most important member of the MDT during the pandemic. So this is just to show how our mortality and hospital stay changed after adopting an MDT. So 2020, we had a very nice, we got proper funding end of 2019, moving in the right direction. But in February, things changed when we first discovered our first case of COVID-19 in Egypt. But we still didn't have the numbers. Our curves weren't really going up, and part of that was probably due to underreporting and patients not going to hospital. But as a national response, on the 19th of March, we had a partial lockdown. There were lots of restrictions on businesses and travel from 6 o'clock in the afternoon till the next morning. And but otherwise, encouraging social distancing, I wouldn't say it was something that was too strict. I think the government took a midway stance for, with the lockdown. We're a developing country, and we do have our economic struggles. And I think that the government chose to do a partial lockdown rather than a total lockdown. But we had to bear the consequences because as in other parts of the world, even with lockdown, things didn't look too good. So we have isolation hospitals that were specialized and dedicated for coronavirus. And we have some problems and still do, but these are being sorted out these days, that the testing was only centralized. No admissions were allowed into other hospitals, other non-COVID hospitals. Private sector weren't allowed to take any cases or tests for them. The social attitude of the people, people wouldn't say if they have, and this is something cultural, they wouldn't say if they had symptoms. They would be scared to go to the hospital and get tested because they didn't want to be isolated at the hospital. So we had lots of problems in March, especially. And that's when the problem started to take toll on the whole country. And for us as doctors, of course, the personal protective equipment, that was a very, very big problem. So in March, the initial response for our burns units, our plastic surgery services have different subspecialties like the pediatric craniofacial, hand services, lots of elective microsurgery. All of these have been suspended and mainly concentrated on cancer reconstruction, trauma and burns, and really urgent follow-up cases. And all our residents and all our fellows were pushed down to the trauma and burns units. So we had more people working there, and we were able to divide the schedules and have different teams. And our aim was to reduce the exposure. We've seen what's happened in Italy and in Spain, and we've seen their experiences with staff shortages, and we tried as much as possible to keep our staff safe. That wasn't much of a problem in March. Things were going very slow, and we were able to flatten the curve for our doctors at least. Our MDTs changed to Zooming, And of course, like I said, we had additional support from our microbiologists, which not only talked to us about PPEs, but also gave lectures and gave us advice about how, if anybody of our staff felt any symptoms, what they would do. And we also did our induction or orientation to our new teams that kept on rotating on Zoom. So we used the online platform for lots of our meetings and to make lots of decisions and to coordinate efforts. We took the Public Health of England recommendations. Of course, we didn't have all the equipment, and the problem was that we wouldn't find the equipment even if we had money. We didn't find the masks. We didn't find any of the face shields. And in March, it was a problem. The prices went ballistic. I mean, maybe tenfold the prices. So surgical masks went up, gowns went up almost 10 times. And we had to collect donations because these were all sold on the black market. We still have shortages. We're still trying to ration. And the other problem was, if any personal protective equipment were available at the hospitals, they were all directed towards the COVID wards or the specialties that were dealing with such patients. So at the burns unit, we got very little, and we had to ask around for donations and actually do it ourselves. So that was the main problem, because our staff were feeling a bit afraid to work in these conditions. But very quickly, we tried to sort that out. And we just tried to have a minimal requirement. So our minimal requirement was wearing a surgical mask and a face shield at any time. Add a gown when examining patients, and in any places with aerosol generating procedures like the OR or the ICU round, we added an N95 respirator and a waterproof gown. So they are available now, but we're reusing a lot of things. And it does put us under stress, and it puts our residents under stress, and this has reflected later on in our work. After changing in practice, one of the first documents that came out was from the NHS, and we started to go towards not admitting and not operating on patients when we can find another way of doing it. We stopped using any heparinized saline, nebulized heparin, sorry, for inhalational injuries if we're using it prophylactically. And we started to look at what in our OR could contribute to be an aerosol generating or aerosol carrying procedure. So it included our dermatomes, and that's why even before it was advised to use these N95 masks in theater, we considered using the dermatome as an aerosol carrying procedure. So things looked all right. I'm taking you step by step what happened, because it's still happening right now. But in April, our curves started to go up, and we were starting to see more patients. And this has reflected on our practice. The most important thing that happened, that our burn center has been allocated for COVID support. As I mentioned, our burn center had isolation rooms. Four of these isolation rooms had negative pressures with positive atria. The manager of the hospital and the school dean came and talked to us and told us that we had to give up our burns unit, our burns center. And this was because we already had our old burns unit already functioning as a support unit, seeing smaller burns and all that. And again, the old unit had a theater in it. So we talked them so that it was for the benefit of everyone, especially that the location of our burn center was separate, with a separate elevator and all that. So that was very hard, and we went back to the old unit to function on our old unit, but we had to make some changes. Our old unit was 2 days, like the ones we've seen here, with beds on either side. This was a very old hospital arrangement, but we started to space the beds, and we took a huge step backwards, giving up all our fancy dressing equipment and the showers and all that. But you know, we were still working there, and we just had to allocate one of the rooms for isolation for suspected cases. And in April, we did have a case that was suspected, and thankfully, it came back as negative because this patient was actually on the ward with another 4 patients in the same room. And just to say, we don't have any positive COVID patients on the burns unit up till now. Thank God. And if any are suspected, we try to manage on an isolation facility at the hospital straight away. So we were back working in our old unit, but we had shortage of supplies. April was the month of shortage. Delayed shipments, we had no proper dressings, our dermatome blades, our mesh carriers, or we stopped using the Brisajet, but you know, on selected cases, sometimes we had to use it, but in April, we stopped completely, but everything started to not to arrive on time. We had to share lots of our equipment with the plastic surgery trauma. Lots of the hospitals in Cairo closed down to accepting non-essential trauma. And sometimes facial laceration, simple wounds, any of that, they all came to our university hospital because up till now, we are not a COVID hospital. So we have to share our equipment and all supplies with the general plastics trauma. And lots of the donations that we relied on in the burns unit were directed towards PPEs for COVID wards. So even the donations that we got to get all the extra dressings and disinfectants and things that we use, you know, we didn't have that funding anymore, and you know, that really affected our practice. The other thing that we had was staff shortage, not by infected staff just yet, but lots of our visiting residents had their contracts ended. Our fellows had to share schedules with the trauma because the trauma burden had increased to our hospital. And the problem with burns is that, you know, without a certain team seeing the patients, you know, every day or every other day, and patients stay on the ward or stay in the ICU sometimes for months, this affected the continuity of care and affected our outcome. And we audit our outcome every week and then every month. And we realized that, you know, with the changing teams and with all the dynamic schedules, our outcomes were starting to become affected, and we had to do something about it. And I'll tell you what we did. So we rearranged the rotas again for the doctors, and we did a tighter handover of cases that was written, that everybody knew about, and we discussed the cases every day. We didn't have to do it in person. We did it on online platforms or updating on WhatsApp. You know, we started to use unconventional methods just to keep everybody in the loop all the time, and it did make a difference. Our MDT, which was something that we're very proud of, we were the first MDT in burns in Egypt. But then our microbiologist was taken away by the COVID team. Our psychologist that was playing a very integral role was taken away. And then our ICU, our intensivists were dragged into the ICUs to see all the suspected cases and to manage possibly COVID cases until they were transferred. So, you know what happened in April? We went back maybe 10 years. And because we were used to working in this environment, it wasn't a problem. But we went back to the basics, and that's why we said that we went back to the basics in April. So we started to make referrals like we did before. The burns residents, the plastic surgery residents, were starting to treat ICU burns again. You know, that was a good educational benefit for them, but it was hard times, especially with their schedules. Right, in May, the cases went up again and were more than doubling. And we started to see patients and possible suspected cases on the ward. Thankfully, all of them were negative, but then the circle started becoming tighter. And the most important thing was, and the most important challenge we have was staff. The Ministry of Health hospitals that usually have burns units closed down and became COVID hospitals. So all these cases started to be referred to the university hospitals. We have 3 major university hospitals with big burns centers. One of them closed down for 2 weeks, and we have 2 big charity hospitals, and one of them closed down due to infected staff. So we were getting more cases, and I'll tell you what happened in June. I didn't put this on, but our ICU nurse, our ICU nurses went down to around a quarter because lots of them became infected over the last month. And the general ICU capacity went down from 30 beds to 8 beds. So we did have a problem even when we got referred to Big Burns and finding an ICU space for them. So May was a real struggle, and we're still going through that struggle right now. Our staff, we had three of our 5 residents infected. Thankfully, all of them had mild symptoms, but had to self-isolate at home and had to work from home, arranging MDTs and numbers and staffs and arrange for supplies and all that. 4 out of our 18 nurses got infected, 1 with severe symptoms that needed to be hospitalized. And our lead physiotherapist, burn physiotherapist, got infected and had to go into ICU because he had some comorbidities. And so we had to recruit residents from the rest of the plastic surgery team and from the other surgical subspecialties like orthopedics and cardiothoracic, which had a reduced workload. And we had to train them and change their schedules again. And that's what we've been doing for the last month and a half. Recruiting new people, training them on Zoom, making an induction, pushing them in, and it's been very hectic that we had to be, following all of this up every day. So to look at the demographics, so this is where we are now. We're in June, but we looked at the demographics for the last 3 months and how that affected our practice. So the partial lockdown was in March. More people spent time at home, but as I said, culturally, lots of people did not go to the hospital. They were scared to present at hospitals for catching coronavirus. And even if they did have coronavirus, they didn't go to hospital. So we had a very huge cultural problem that we had to work on. Work-related injuries had decreased. And as I said, the Ministry of Health hospitals were evacuated quite early, but then in May, 230 hospitals closed down, accepting any burns. So in general, our average number of patients on the ward, we usually had 20 to 25. These are numbers from the previous months before COVID. And we had 20 to 25 patients. We had 70 new admissions each month on the average, and around 48 outpatient burns. And we had, around 1 to 2 patients who died every month, usually the very big burns or patients who presented quite late. But then this is what happened over the months in March, April, and May. And it was in March that the lockdown started and we started to get affected even slower. So our total number of patients didn't differ very much. And actually some things went down, but the type of patients have changed. Our outpatients, the minor burns that usually came in, we usually had 48 patients, that went down. So our minor burns stopped coming in. People probably were being treated at home or at local facilities because our unit used to treat minor burns all over the Cairo, Greater Cairo, which is Cairo and Giza. And some places are quite far, or more than 90 kilometers away. That's our catchment area. But we got patients from everywhere. The minor burns stopped coming in, so our outpatients and our hospital transfers started going up very slowly, and that was due to burn facilities closing down, and patients were coming in 10 days, 15 days late, and that affected our statistics in general. Age, it was the same. We had more children. Again, we had a bit more males, and then even the type of burns have not differed greatly. But in general, we had an increase in the average percentage total body surface area, total burn surface area, and that had a peak in April. We had 7 patients with over 90% total body surface area. We had increased transfers from other hospitals, as I said, and we had lots of suicides that came in. So, and lots of them were over 95%, of course. So looking at our mortalities, March we weren't doing too bad, but our mortality started to increase over the few months. And we tried to think about what was different. And as I said, lots of patients were transferred from different hospitals, at least 4 or 5 patients every month. But again, we were transferring patients, and we started transferring patients to other hospitals too when our ICU was closed down. So in general, we thought we were prepared, but because it's so dynamic and things change and hospitals close down and funding goes away, we just had to be prepared to make these changes. And we are still prepared to bring in more staff, to recruit more nursing from other places. So it's an ongoing process. We're auditing our work every now and then. We're seeing what the challenges are. And sometimes on a daily basis, we have to make changes. So this is a new situation to everyone in conclusion. There's no right answer. We've seen the experiences, your experiences. I've heard on your Zoom meetings, the paper that came out with the different experiences in Europe. Everybody managed it differently, and there are a lot of cultural problems that add to the problem. So we have to be very dynamic. And what we're concentrating on now is flattening the curve for the staff. So we've seen lots of burns units closed down, not necessarily because the hospitals were dedicated for COVID, but because of staff being infected. So that's what we're working on really right now, to keep our staff safe by reducing their schedules, reducing number of hours, by providing the personal protective equipment. And what we can't emphasize enough is that we have to educate and train our nurses, our porters, or even our residents every now and then, because they're recruited, about how to use the PPEs, because that was the main problem. They weren't infected from the patients as much as sometimes from themselves. And again, the importance of the network. We don't have an official network dealing with burns in Egypt, but we started to communicate on WhatsApp groups, on the phones, trying to find out which units have the vacant ICU beds, and that has helped. But one thing we've really learned is that without a network, proper burns network, we can't manage a burns in crisis situation. At the end, I'd like to thank you again for inviting me to share his experience. These are our residents and nurses, and these are the people who are there 24/7 taking care of our patients. And these are the people who are getting infected and have to stay home. They're all doing well, but I'm taking this chance to thank them too for helping me with this data and for keeping the burn service going. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Nawar. It was a very elaborative report, and looks like you're doing great. I'm sorry that some of your doctors and nurses have suffered from, but they probably recovered, right? So that's really good. Now we have two more speakers to before we can finish, and both of them are they have a long experience in treating burns. I would like to invite Gary for them, who is a plastics and burn surgeon based in Seattle, Washington State in USA. He has been to Nepal several times to help us with the treatment of burns. I would be really grateful if you, Gary, you can make it really brief for the sake of time. Thank you very much.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I think that historically surgical progress and medical progress has happened during wars, and this in a way is a war on COVID. And so the best thing that we can do is learn from this. A lot of this will come from following up our patients over the next year or two and finding out, for example, I can see from listening the last few weeks, we're treating a lot of smaller burns at home. Through telehealth, with oral resuscitation, with mobilization, wound care, and therapy at home. And some of these patients would have had surgery and are not having surgery, and it'll be really interesting to see how well these patients do. Which patients, the other question to look at over the next year or so, and actually right while we're doing in the midst of this crisis, is which patients to treat with palliative care, which some of the speakers have addressed in the past. Which patients need, again, conservative surgery, meaning non-surgical treatment versus surgery. And then other things that have been addressed over the last few weeks is staging of surgery. Should we do as much as possible in one operation or go by the 2-hour 20% rule? I think in the US, some of the staging has occurred because for other reasons, maybe economic reasons, and there's no reason for that because it does not optimize burn care. So what I'm going to talk about today is surgical strategies to do the least amount of operations and the least amount of reconstructive surgery with optimal results. I'm going to talk a little bit about some research I've been doing in clinical applications in the last 10 years after visiting and speaking with Dr. Koirala in Sri Lanka. And she talks, as many of you know probably, about the tethers or attachments in the fatty layer, the collagen attachments between the fascia and the dermis of the skin. And if we look at those, and whether you're a surgeon, a therapist, an artist, an anatomist, an anthropologist, if we look at the evolutionary purpose for them, they determine our appearance, and they also determine to a large degree our function. And if we pay attention to those with respect to dressings, with respect to acute burn surgery, graft orientation, excision or non-excision of this layer in any surgical specialty, we can have much better acute results, which will essentially eliminate 80 to 90% of burn contractures and secondary need for surgery. So in plastic surgery, we look at the body, and an artist looks at the body. In plastic surgery, we look at the inframammary fold. For breast reconstruction, we look at the ligaments of the face and the scapus fascia for face lifts and body lifts. But actually these tethers or these collagen attachments, which I'm going to show in the next few slides, will give, and if you look at the body in that way, will give you a much different perspective on what determines our appearance and function. So here's the mental labial fold, the mental crease. If you try to put your finger on your chin and pull down below the mental crease, you can't pull your lower lip down no matter how hard you pull. And yet in burns, we see many lower lip ectropions or distortion of the lip from the neck burns. And the reason is because we haven't preserved this mental labial fold. This fold, actually the dermis, anchors all the way down to the periosteum of the mandible. And if this is interrupted by surgical debridement, or then we lose this protection. And you can see in these two top pictures, both American patients, the central lower lip is protected because the mental crease is protected and has not been disturbed by surgery or by bridging grafts, meaning a graft that bridges this area, as opposed to putting a subunit graft below the vermilion and then on the chin area to recreate this tether or attachment, with secondary contraction, will pull down the lower lip. So you can see that the contractures are lateral commissure, they're lateral lip, because the jowl attachments, the attachments at the submandibular line away from the center, are much less strong. They don't go down all the way to the mandible. Here again, neck contractures, we see that when you pay attention to the tethers, which actually go from the dermis in the submental area all the way down to the fascia of the suprahyoid muscles. And this is the hyoid that is colored with marking pen. And then below it, in the vertical or cervical portion of the neck, we see that the dermis attaches to the fascia of the infrahyoid muscle group. And when we remove the platysma acutely, which I know that many of you are doing, which is the most potent recontracture force of the neck, we can get results you can see a couple pictures from Dr. Koirala just in subunits, orienting the grafts according and preserving these tethers at the hyoid level. In addition, orientation of grafts involves not bridging different static and dynamic planes of the body, so that the lateral neck is separate from the anterior neck. And that's very important, if not more important, in the anterior neck for the function of the head in terms of rotation. Here we see a patient 40-year-old burn on the back, which has essentially a tourniquet effect. And if the acute grafts had been placed on either side of the back as opposed to bridging across the back, and you can see with this cadaver picture that the tethers actually are very loose over the spinous processes, but they're tight in the paraspinous areas. And so this allows for flexion, extension, and rotation. But if we bridge that area with a graft, secondary contraction of the graft will cause this tourniquet effect. And you can also see the common contracture extending down from the axilla along the midlateral flank. And if this if the graft seam had been placed in this location and placed in a zigzag or sawtooth pattern, which is what we end up doing later on in reconstruction with Z-plasties, if it had been done that way in the acute setting, then we would avoid completely both of these contractures by not bridging the grafts and by creating a sawtooth pattern to the acute burn graft seam. Here again, we see a United States patient with symastia. In the US, mostly general surgeons are taking care of burns, and doesn't mean they can't understand plastic surgical concepts of not bridging static and dynamic planes of the body. But we all know that with primary and secondary contraction of a graft, if you bridge the intermammary or the sternal area of the body, you're going to get a symastia effect. And again, if you bridge between the chest, neck, and face, the graft as it contracts is going to create the distortion you see in this other contraction. So you can see again in Dr. Pereira's pictures where orientation of grafts in the supramammary infraclavicular area, the mammary area, and the intermammary or sternal area, you can see how you can achieve beauty, contour, and normal symmetry just with one acute grafting procedure with no secondary procedures required. And it's all related to these tethers in the fatty layer between the fascia and the dermis. The suspensory ligaments of the breast shape the breast, and the inframammary fold, of course, helps with projection of the breast. Here we see both aesthetic and functional issues in the hand and wrist. When we use grafts from the bottom of the foot that you can see in the top right corner, you can almost not even see the graft on the palm. You can take it from the instep, and since people interact with the world with their hands and their face, if somebody has grafts that look like the graft in the first picture on the left, very dark, abnormal texture, or they're not going to want to go out. They're not going to want to go to school or go to work. They're going to have trouble in life. And so the aesthetics are incredibly important. And then the full thickness graft we see on the second one, this does not attach to the palmar fascia normally like we see in the lower pictures on the cadaver. And so things will not, you'll have a lot more shear when you try to grab something. So this is important actually, not just for surgeons, but the therapists understand this. They can't rehabilitate the patients when they have this type of acute reconstruction or acute grafting. And then in the center picture, you see a series, all the same patient, where 5 or 7 years ago, I definitely would have grafted this little girl in the second picture with almost fully granulated palm, clearly almost full thickness, but there are dermal elements there, and I could see the distal palmar crease, which is deeply attached to the palmar fascia, as you see in the cadaver specimens. And so we actually just treated this patient with night splinting and dressings, and after 2 months, she healed like this, because we were confident that the distal palmar crease would protect the fingers from flexion contraction. If we had grafted this like they did in the second picture up on the top left, that would have left this child with a disfigurement and essentially a deformity, because there's less ability to grasp. The skin is not attached in the same way to the palm for life. The most common contracture maybe that we see as burn surgeons and therapists is burn scar syndactyly. So here's a bilateral hand burn, and you can see in the top one, we did not graft the web spaces. And the bottom one, the resident didn't believe me about not grafting the web spaces, so he grafted them like we always have done. And 100% burns and 100% predictable secondary contracture, burn scar syndactyly, advancement of the web space. And why does that happen? It happens because we've destroyed with our debridement and we've destroyed the subcutaneous endoskeleton, the tethers between the palmar skin and the dorsal skin, the tethers at the between the metacarpal heads that hold the web space in its normal complex inclination and ability to, and so we've destroyed the ability for this patient to abduct and also deform their hand by surgically destroying something that is almost not reconstructible, that web space. And it's really what's going on in the fatty layer with these collagen attachments. So here, I these tethers, even though the concept was Dr. Pereira's, I give her all the credit. I've categorized them as anchor tethers and border tethers and accordion tethers. And over joints, we have accordion-like tethers where they're very tight tethers in the lateral capsular area, which go all the way down to the lateral capsule to the and out to the dermis. And then centrally, they're more loose and long. And what this allows is an extension for you to have storage of skin, these folds and creases, and in flexion, we recruit this. And so this is, if you just put a graft with it over the joint from the, for example, from the MCP all the way to the fingertip, you're gonna have a real hard time reconstructing this. So that either the joint should be left alone because it's difficult to reconstruct these accordion-like tethers, or if they need to be debrided or if the burn is deep enough, they can just be, then you have to place the grafts, orient them so that the seams of the graft help to reconstruct these tethers with scars. And so here's a picture basically talking about the concepts of orientation of grafts, meaning that not to bridge static and dynamic planes of the body and to not, with excision, excise this dermal, subdermal level layer, which is really critical for both function in terms of decreasing hyperextension, creating these folds and creases and accordions for flexion of joints, and certainly aesthetics. It's also important when you place for the therapist, when the dressings are placed, that they actually place these dressings such that the patient can move and not shear the grafts. And so they have to be, the dressings have to be placed kind of with the concept of the orientation of what these tethers, where these tethers are. You can mobilize patients much faster, almost immediately, because again, you're not going to have shear between different planes of the body if the dressings are placed and the grafts are placed appropriately. And then just two more slides. Here we see another concept that many of you maybe are using, but it's called, it's not a new concept, it's needling and topical vitamin A, C, and E. And this this addresses the, mostly in a reconstructive phase, it addresses the scars, the pigmentation, and of the patient, which again helps them rehabilitate. So you're going to get 90% of contracture-free grafting and with orientation of grafts. You're also going to avoid hypertrophic scars because what causes hypertrophic scars is tension, and what causes tension, and it's bridging static and dynamic planes. So you may get a temporary hypertrophic scar at the seam of the graft, but if you're not pulling it across a joint or pulling it across a plane of the body, that scar will subside on its own. if scars and pigmentation are become an issue, then needling arguably is much more effective than lasers, and obviously much cheaper. I taught this technique in Nepal 3 years ago almost, and they've been just needling with 26 gauge needles using topical A and C serum. The patient can use at home, as well as vitamin E capsules. But there are products that have vitamin A, C, and E, and they actually go a long way toward rehabilitating a scar and improving pigmentation, whereas the laser is more of takes a raised tight scar and creates a flat tight scar. This actually stimulates elastin, which is what's missing in skin grafts, because elastin is in the lower 2/3 of the dermis, and that's typically not what is transferred when you skin graft. It's definitely missing in scars, and it's missing in elderly people. And elastin is what gives you your snapback, your recoil, your flexibility of your skin. So the first patient just had topical vitamin A, C, and E alone at home for 5 months, and she got rid of her pigmentation, improved the texture of her skin. The second and third and fourth patients all had needling plus topical vitamin A, C, and E, and you can see the results. And they're actually they're aesthetic results, they're functional results, and they've actually gone a long way toward normalizing the skin without any surgical procedures. And here is a Nepal patient that we took care of a year and a half ago who had contractures, and we combined the two techniques of orientation of grafts. We didn't excise any scar. We just incised the scars, released the contractures, and placed the grafts according to subunits with respect to border tethers, anchor tethers, and orienting the grafts to not cross any static and dynamic planes of the body. 6 months later, the plastic surgeons the Nepalese plastic surgeons did a major needling procedure under anesthesia, continued vitamin A, C, and E with the patient. The parents continued, and then and did a small touch-up graft of one of the lower eyelids. And then at just this past January, we brought the child back for just some small Z and W plasties in the corner of the mouth. And you can see that combining needling topicals and to rehabilitate those scars and orienting the grafts with respect to the different tethers and subunits and static and dynamic planes of the body are really rehabilitating this patient in an aesthetic and functional way. So that's all I have to say, but this is more surgically oriented, but it's for therapists, it's for artists, it's for evolutionary philosophers. It's a way of looking at the body in the acute setting that will help prevent most contractures, rehabilitate patients faster, get them out of the hospital faster, avoid the need for secondary surgeries, which are not affordable in most countries, and get kids back to school faster and parents back to work faster. So this is, it's more of a technical how-to to acutely reconstruct a patient, but it's also, we're gonna see a lot of patients that were not treated surgically. And again, I just emphasize that we should all be looking at how to prevent iatrogenic or surgical injury of these patients. So that's kind of it. I mean, I'm really enjoying these talks, and I know everybody's talked about really important things, specifically respect to COVID, but we also have to, this is the time to really improve our burn care, and it may be by minimizing surgery, but just doing it a different way if they need it. Okay, thanks, Kieran.
Thank you, Gary. We know that you are a wonderful surgeon. We have seen you work for many years now. and I hope you can come next year also. I don't know how the situation goes by. Now we have our speaker, Dr. Shobha Chamania. She has been attending these meetings, all of these meetings actually, and she spoke in the first meeting. We would like to hear how she is doing now. Has there been any changes in her hospital? Thank you, Dr. Shobha. Are you there?
Madam, you have to unmute.
Unmute your mic, please. Yeah, we can see your slides.
Okay. Yes, madam. Yes. Good. All right. So last time I gave you the status of our hospital. I just want to introduce that this is my hospital, which is a 350 bed multi-speciality charity hospital. And in Indore, a lot of private hospitals share the burn load, and it's not only public hospitals that are treating these, like Nepal, and it's a historical city. For the audience, this is the central state called Madhya Pradesh in India, and this black dot is Indore, and here is the map, and this is Indore. And our drainage for burn patients used to be this wide. So we used to get a lot of patients from periphery because the burn care in the peripheral region is lacking. And these are all districts we used to have referrals from. The COVID and lockdown led to Indore being one of the hot seats of COVID, and Indore locking down its boundaries to any persons coming from another district, and therefore I think that is the reason why our burn patients admissions fell down. Normally, we used to have around 215 patients and 1100 outpatients, lot of minor burns and outpatients. And we've been working since 1985, and we have been the pioneer unit in implementing the modern standards of burn care in central India as in context of the resource poor situation, because the patients were all very poor and could not afford a very world class treatment. What changes led to COVID in our hospital was that the administration, city administration, came in March and took over the whole hospital and called it a COVID hospital, and they shut down the burn unit, took the staff of burn unit to take care of COVID wards. And so the question was, where do the burn patients go? It was none of their city administrators' problems, but we were wondering what is happening to our patients. So we found out from the government medical college that has around 35 beds for burns. In last 70 days, they usually have a very heavy burn ward. They have around 1100 admissions a year. So in 70 days, they had only 50 admissions. The reason of few admissions, I think there are less incidents in the city, and the city is locked down, and the industries are all shut down. Majority were females, mainly 30 to 40% burns, almost all kerosene, and surprisingly in the public hospital, it is all because of domestic violence, interpersonal relation issue, and the husband and wife were not used to living together because both were working, and then alcohol was not available, so it was not, we cannot blame alcohol for the violence. But the doctor who gave me this information said a lot of information on domestic violence is available. Our police department has started a counseling center to counsel these people if they report or if the doctor reports to the center, and that's something good that's happening to them. But some of them were during cooking, so cooking was not the main culprit. Then we started opening up the lockdown for last 10 days, and then the hospital saw 15 patients after opening the lockdown because the incidence of COVID has gone up. Now the percentage increases to 80 to 90% once. Domestic violence again, and kerosene was the product used. In the other private hospital, which has 20 beds, this has also been it has also become a COVID hospital, and the burn unit was closed for last 70 days. They saw 14 cases in emergency, all accidental, 2 females and 12 males. None of them were children. 4 high tension line electrical, 1 chemical, 1 scald, and 8 flame burns. So these patients were then sent to either the public hospital, but most of the patients were scared to go to the public hospital because part of it was a COVID hospital, and so they chose to go to a private hospital. There are many plastic surgeons in the city who operate on burns in the city, which is not a burn care facility, but they just operate in ICU and keep the patients in normal ICU. Ours is still locked down, and we are just wondering whether we should be able to admit these patients somewhere in July. And what we are managing are small minor burns by telemedicine, looking at their pictures and then advising them the treatment. So it's all mostly conservative treatment, and it was very heartening to listen to Dr. Gary that a lot of conservative treatment can be managed later with less, reducing morbidity. But in last 10 days, the hospital has divided its building into 2, a red zone and a green zone with separate entries. And we have started a burns and plastic surgery OPD in the green zone. There's another satellite clinic which is away from the hospital because patients are reluctant to come to a red area, and they also have plastic surgery OPD there. Minor issues can be dealt there, and then the hospital has managed to liaise with a green hospital nearby, so the patients can be operated in the green hospital and discharged from there, since we don't have a burn care facility. This is the satellite hospital. This is the waiting area for the patient. These circles are made for keeping the distancing between the patients. The registration area. And this is the screening area. They are screened. The history is taken for any travel or fever, cough. And then if they have some investigations done, then they can share the history here. And if the screening is negative, then they're sent to the consultant's room, and this is how the consultant is dressed to see them, because here we don't have the standard WHO protocol of keeping a plastic shield to protect, but then the doctor is wearing everything to protect himself. We have a skin bank, and the skin bank is running from 2011, and we were doing very well till March, when we had to stop harvesting, and there has been no harvesting since last 70 days because we don't know which one is COVID and which is not, and whether the harvesting team will get infected. The bank is being supervised for temperature maintenance and other things, but we are not even able to export the tissue outside the hospital because the bank is within the red zone, and we are worried whether we will transmit the infection to other patients. The big impact that I understand of lockdown and of our unit closing down is that the burns are being treated in either the public hospitals or the districts that you used to refer the patients to us are now forced to treat these patients, which is a big training for from lockdown. Like Dr. Gary said, that this is a war situation and there are going to be lessons for everyone. We were always wondering when our peripheral regions will start taking care of burns, and now they are forced to take care of burns, and that is the reason probably why we are not seeing many burn patients. But we are seeing a very little incidence. No early surgical interventions were done in the public hospitals, so they're all being treated conservatively. Reconstructive surgery is out of question because no elective procedures are done in this situation. Few patients are being admitted in other private facilities. Our unit, because it has been closed for a long time, will take a long time to spring back to normal routine. We are afraid of its economic impact because already the people are being laid off, and we are afraid of losing our trained personnel. This may force the management to increase the cost of treatment in future to overcome the losses that they have had to undergo because of closure of the hospital, and that will pressurize us to restrict the use of the materials that we were used to using, the silver impregnated dressings. So that's going to be a challenge in the future, mainly how to manage the economic situation. The Indore, what is the scenario of COVID in Indore? We are emerging out of the lockdown in phases, presently in phase 1. 32 doctors have died in India and 6 paramedics have succumbed. So the objective is also to survive first and then worry about the economic impact. These are the number of confirmed cases. So we have a large number of confirmed cases, number 4 in the world. And we have a good number of recovered patients, 154,000. And the deaths have been much less as compared to other big countries. If the world was worried about what is going to happen to India when COVID strikes India, and somehow whether it is mutant virus or it is the immunity or the temperature, whatever, the deaths have been fortunately much less. So the percentage of death is around 4.21% in Indore. This is the Indore cases and the mortality rate. The testing is 126 per every million, and 126 are positive. We are expecting a peak around late July to mid-August, and then hoping a flattening of curve and decline in September, October. But some people are guessing it may be end of this year. How are we utilizing this time? We're making videos for a lot of repetitive activities that actually drain our energies when we are working full time. And our staff is involved in, by all the therapists, psychologists, the nurses, everybody is making videos which will help them in their working later. And now we are also developing orientation programs and training of new nurses who join and new doctors who are recruited in the unit, so that reduces the strain on the seniors to spend time training them and empowers them and gives them confidence. We are also finding ways to involve burn survivors who are living in different regions around the Indore district and who can teach their family, friends, and neighbors about burn prevention and first aid. This is important at this time because we still want to reduce the incidence of burns since we are not able to provide the burn care. and counseling for interpersonal problems is available online. We are also developing videos for home care of wounds because that's become the need of the hour. I want to thank Dr. Kiran and the Nepal Burn Foundation for having me once again. And that's all from Indore. Thank you very much and namaste for having me here.
Yeah, thank you, madam. Thank you. It was a very concise and a very clear uh, speech you have given. We can see that your hospital is still closed. We were very curious to know what's happening at your center. So we have I would like to thank all the international speakers who are still hanging around. I think it's a time to end the program, but I would let my president of Nepal One Foundation to thank all of you and end this program. Professor Dr. Piyush Dahal.
भाग लिनुहुने सबैलाई फेरि पुनः एकपल्ट धन्यवाद व्यक्त गर्दै यस आजको कार्यक्रममा हाम्रो कलाकार हरिवंश आचार्यज्यू त्यस्तै लायन्स क्लबका प्रभात कुमार जोशीज्यूको सहभागिताले हामी एक्लो छैनौँ, वी आर नट अलोन भन्ने कुराको चाहिँ हामीलाई आभास दिएको छ एउटा। त्यस्तै म यस कार्यक्रममा डाक्टर अपार, सूचना म्याम, गङ्गा म्याम, त्यस्तै इन्टरनेसनल स्पिकरहरूमा टोप पोटकर, प्रोफेसर अरुण चौधरी, प्रोफेसर मोहम्मद नवार, and Dr. Gary and all international facultiesहरूलाई पनि म धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु। र यसले हामीलाई धेरै कुराहरूको पाठ सिकाएको छ भन्ने कुराको पनि महसुस गरेका छौँ। र आजको बर्न केयर ट्रेनिङ, आजको बर्न केयर कन्फरेन्स, बर्न केयर ड्युरिङ कोरोना पेन्डेमिक यही समाप्त भएको जानकारी गराउँदै सबैलाई फेरि पुनः धन्यवाद दिँदै र फेरि भेटघाट गर्ने आशा गर्दै बिदा हुन चाहन्छु। धन्यवाद।
र अन्तमा हाम्रो अध्यक्षज्यूले भन्नुभयो, अब हाम्रो उपाध्यक्षज्यूले पनि यो थ्याङ्क यूको अलिकति एक दुईवटा कसलाई थ्याङ्क यू भन्नुपर्ने हामीले छुटेको केही छ कि उहाँले एकचोटि थ्याङ्क यू भनिदिन अनुरोध गर्दछु। नदेवी दिदी लास्ट हाम्रो।
नमस्ते, म नरदेवी बरिया। अहिले चाहिँ हाम्रो यो धन्यवाद ज्ञापन गर्ने कार्यक्रम रहेछ र अहिले चाहिँ हाम्रो निमन्त्रणालाई चाहिँ स्वीकारेर यस बर्न केयर ड्युरिङ कोरोना पेन्डेमिक कार्यक्रममा सहभागी हुनुभएको हाम्रो गेस्ट एक्टर हरिवंश आचार्य सर र उहाँहरूको बहुमूल्य स्पिचलाई ध्यान आकर्षण गरी उहाँलाई चाहिँ धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद ज्ञापन गर्दछु। र हाम्रो कार्यक्रमलाई स्वीकारेर हाम्रो गेस्ट लाइन प्रभात कुमार जोशी डिस्ट्रिक्ट गभर्नर सरलाई पनि धन्यवाद ज्ञापन गर्दछु। र यस्तै गरेर नेपालको पहिलो बर्न तथा प्लास्टिक सर्जन NBF को प्याट्रन प्रोफेसर डाक्टर केशव दास जोशी सरलाई पनि धन्यवाद ज्ञापन गर्न चाहन्छु। र यस कार्यक्रमको सहकार्य गर्नुहुने प्रोफेसर एडभाइजर डाक्टर ईश्वर लोहनी, GUTH हस्पिटलको बर्न एन्ड प्लास्टिक सर्जन र कीर्तिपुर हस्पिटलको प्रोफेसर डाक्टर शङ्करमान राई र हाम्रो स्टार हस्पिटलको एडभाइजर डाक्टर जसवन्त साके, उहाँलाई पनि एकदम धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद ज्ञापन गर्न चाहन्छु। र त्यसै गरेर हाम्रो प्रेजेन्टरहरू हुनुहुन्छ। प्रेजेन्टरमा हाम्रो सुषमा कोइराला हस्पिटलको डाक्टर रोजिना शिल्पकार प्लास्टिक सर्जन, उहाँलाई पनि हामी धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद ज्ञापन गर्छौँ। त्यस्तै गरेर अर्को प्रेजेन्टर प्लास्टिक सर्जन हाम्रो अपार लामिछानेज्यू, उहाँले पनि धेरै मिहिनेत गरेर प्रेजेन्टेसन गर्नुभएको छ, उहाँलाई पनि धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद। र त्यस्तै गरेर प्रेजेन्टर नर्सिङ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर सूचना सापकोटाज्यूलाई र प्रेजेन्टर नर्सिङ सुपरिन्टेन्डेन्ट गङ्गा जिरेलज्यूलाई पनि उहाँलाई पनि एकदमै धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु। र त्यस्तै गरेर यस कार्यक्रमलाई शोभा बढाइदिनु पाल्नुभएका वरिष्ठ चिकित्सक वर्गहरू र हाम्रो वरिष्ठ पोस्टमा रहनुभएको म्याडमहरू र सम्पूर्ण दिदीभाइ भाइ बहिनी र स्टुडेन्ट वर्गहरूलाई पनि म धन्यवाद ज्ञापन गर्न चाहन्छु। र देश र अर्को विदेशबाट पनि यो कार्यक्रममा सहभागी भइरहनु भएको सम्पूर्ण हाम्रो भाइ बहिनी साथीहरूलाई पनि म धन्यवाद ज्ञापन गर्न चाहन्छु। र अरू अहिले छ हाम्रो गेस्ट लेक्चर फरेन डक्टर I like to express my gratitude to Professor Dr. Tom Potokar, Director of Interborn UK, for providing presentation on activities done by Interborn in Nepal, Bangladesh, and India to improve the burn care in Nepal as well as in the Southeast Asia. I may like to express our sincere thanks to Dr. Arun Kumar Chaudhary, burn plastic surgeon, India, Odisha, for providing presentation on management of COVID patient in his hospital. I also like to acknowledge our gratitude to Dr. Amit Nawar, burn and plastic surgeon from Egypt, for providing presentation on experience during COVID-19 in his hospital and overall briefing of services in his hospital. I would like to express our sincere thanks Dr. Gary Pudin, plastic surgeon from Seattle, USA, for providing overall briefing regarding burn care and burn graft contracture and scar management. I am also very grateful to Dr. Shobha Chamania, burn and plastic surgeon from Indore, India, for providing presentation on burn COVID patient in Choitram Hospital. Finally, I also extend my thanks to Nepal Burn Foundation members for their enormous cooperation in the organization for this event. Thank you so much for all the participants. Thank you and thank you. Namaste.